Okay, everybody, I think we're ready to start. I see Brent walking in, so we're ready to start. All right, it is 7 o'clock on February 10th, 2026, and we have a quorum present, so we'll call the Warrant Committee meeting to order. And this meeting is being recorded, and it's being held in a hybrid format. Members of the public who wish to participate in the meeting may do so in person or via Zoom. And the meeting materials are included in the Warrant Committee packet on our website and in the meeting notice. So we'll start the meeting. It's good we're all here tonight, so we'll start the meeting with a roll call, I guess.
Bazawa present.
Elizabeth Kelly present.
Nelson present.
Joe Hunt present.
Steve Callahan present.
Jill Rafter present. Ashley Duke present. Emily McCabe present.
Kim Michelson present.
Excellent. Okay. Our agenda tonight, we have a busy agenda. We have some minutes to approve. We have just a quick review of calendar. We have a number of departments that on the town side, municipal departments that we will hear from and go through their budgets. And we'll talk about the priority of budget cuts and their restoration for both the town and the school. We will talk about a potential new article for an operating budget stabilization fund, and also just quickly update existing warrant articles, the status of them. And then we'd also we will talk about the process for moving forward with an override article, and the various growth scenarios we will look at and process for that. And then we'll talk about our FAQ document, and we will get an update on a potential reserve fund transfer. We may mix that in with the fire discussion if that's better, be quicker to do it that way. And so that is our agenda tonight. Did everybody get a chance to take a look at the minutes that Jill sent out?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
Very good. Jill and Brittany audits to everyone.
All right. Well, if there's no comments or questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Great. All right. Those are approved. On our agenda, our calendar, Elizabeth, I have you down as the minute taker tonight. The way that, so you know, they use AI to give you a really good first draft. So they will, Brittany will do that and get it to you. Get you 85–90% of the way there. And then
Sorry you missed the good old days.
we have so after tonight we have our next meeting is on the 24th, and that is our school, that's our school department budget, and we will also hear from the facilities department. And then we have two meetings in March for March 10th and March 24th for warrant articles. And when we talk about an update on articles, I'd like to talk about there's a few that I'd like to pre-schedule that will take some time to go through. So I'd like to do that. Our hearing again is on the 31st, and we are holding April 6th in case we need it for another meeting. So any questions on that calendar? Nothing's really changed. Okay, so we have a number of departments that we want to hear from tonight. Thank you all for coming. This is a wonderful showing and a snowy night to show up. It's great. And I think first is Chief Bill the King. So why don't you come on up and fire.
How's it going?
Good. How are you? So we have your we have the department budget.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
we handed out to everybody.
Yep.
If there's other things you want to talk about, feel free to, do that. And then I thought, since you're here, one of the agenda items is the ladder truck
Yes.
that we're being asked to authorize potential transfer for the reserve fund. So at the end, maybe you could cover that so that the committee can understand that. So,
Absolutely.
okay, great.
All right. Jump right into it.
Yep.
Thanks for having me. So met with Elizabeth and we went over a few things. So the majority of my budget is salaries, so like most departments. So proposing a $1,638,541.64 for salaries. That is a $76,869.64 increase over last year, which worked out to be a 4.92%. That's all contractual raises between step raises, COLAs, and some education kicking in, and some other members going from 2 weeks vacation, earning a 3rd week's vacation, that type of stuff. Some other things in there. Several members who went out and got some education, so they get a small stipend for each one of those classes. That's it.
Okay, I just interrupt. I should mention Elizabeth. You covered the fire department, right?
Yes.
Is there anything you wanted to say? I apologize.
Keep going.
Okay, great.
Can I just ask,
Absolutely.
how many employees do you have?
We have 16 full-time firefighters. We have 8 call members, and then we have the deputy chief, who's also a call member. Currently in the process of hiring 2, so we'll have 2 new employees here in a very short time. That's replacement people.
They're not new additions, they're just
Just
replacement.
replacement, yes, correct.
Okay. Okay,
And then the operating side, requesting a total increase of $7,500 to a total of $143,520. I can go over.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? I want to make sure you have the same sheet I have. 5%, yeah. $7,500 increase
Total, so
total.
it brings it up to $143,520.
521. Okay, all right. Okay.
I can go over those line by line for the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Maybe
Four
just
categories that I'm requesting an increase on. If you'd like me to go through those,
maybe quickly the big ones.
sure. The biggest one is equipment repair and services. I did ask for a $5,000 increase in that. Currently, we're 66% of the way through that line item in my budget right now. We did have some multiple repairs over the summer. Knock on wood. Okay, for a little bit on that.
I'm sorry. So equipment repair, you said?
Yeah.
Top line.
Very
Repair and
top line.
service.
Top.
I have a decrease in that line.
Me too. I have no idea.
2,900.
5,000 is down under screening physical.
Yeah, I wonder if we have the right sheet here because
Well, no, it shows the increase from 39 to 44.
Yeah.
But then you're right, it shows a decrease of 2,929.
That's right.
But I'm puzzled by that as well. What does that mean?
The math, I think,
That's
is
the-
off. And the 82.
Yeah, the math there is the FY25 actual to the 26
Oh.
budgeted. Carry the columns over in math.
Oh,
Referencing on power. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So I'm at asking for the 44 on that
Mhm.
line.
Okay,
The next increase is just the other equipment, next line down, just $1,000 on that one. And then equipment maintenance and contracts, $1,000 on that one as well. That's our software that we use for permits and time off, and just all that software that we use. And then the last one is just down under other supplies, a $500 increase. So the total increase on the operations expense is 5.5%. So then if combined all that together, total increase is 84,369.64, which is a 4.97% total increase.
okay. Any questions on this by anybody? I did have a question on, not on 27, but on 28.
Okay, yep.
I was wondering if you could comment about the, the forecast for 28, and the fact that we have that there's a grant from the federal government, the DAPA grant, I guess, that will expire.
So the safer grant that we currently have funds the 4 positions for 3 years. It's going to expire on November 17th of 2027. So it has to expire 1 day less than 3 years from when we got it. So
So that will be that'll be a few months into fiscal 28.
correct. It's roughly a third of the way through the fiscal year. What that's going to do after that November date, if there's any money left in it, we request a extension. It's not a guarantee, but right now we're on track to have some left over, but can't guarantee that we can have that, so we can't count on that. But after that, November 17th, those 4 members, either we pick them into my budget, onto our payroll, the town's payroll, or we have to let those members go. And we can't function with the way we need to function with the staff, losing those members.
Explain that, because I did watch your presentation with the select board.
Sure.
I thought it was very informative, but I'm not sure everybody here.
So
benefits from that.
NFPA 1710 is a safety regulation that talks to, and OSHA also involved with it, talks to the manpower that we need on a scene for a structure fire. So just 2 weeks ago, we had a house fire off 9th Street. We had 4 members on duty, including myself. It was during the middle of the afternoon. We were able to show up, pump set up, and I was able to send all 4 members, or 2 of the members in to go make an initial attack and stop the fire. So 1710 says we have to have a minimum 2 members in the building and minimum 2 members out of the building. Just in case something happens to them, those next 2 can go in and try to help them. Without having that 4th member on duty, we would have had to wait for either Millis to get there with the additional manpower, or our off-duty members and call members to respond from home, drive to the fire station, get the other fire truck, and then come to the scene. So and I know structure fires are a very small part of our calls, but 65% of the calls are EMS calls. On scene during an EMS call, we have to bring in the first in bag, oxygen bag, medication, stair chair, computers, oxygen bag. Depending on what the call is, we might need suction. There's a lot of equipment that we have to bring in. We go into the house, 2 members start caring for the patient right away. 1 member will start helping with the family, getting information, getting things together. Well, the 4th member can be moving equipment back and forth. And then when we're carrying the patient out of the house, we have all that equipment to carry out of the house. Now we're carrying the person on the stair chair. carrying somebody down the stairs on a stair chair is a 3-person job. Person at the head, a person carrying the feet, and then one person behind, person at the feet. Because the person at the feet's walking backwards down the stairs, carrying somebody. It's extremely dangerous, and I can't tell you how many times I've personally caught that member from falling, and I've personally almost fallen. Luckily, somebody was behind me. To have the staffing that we have, just for that is key. The other main aspect is right now today we can fully staff 2 ALS ambulances, and our ambulance calls are increasing, so that first ambulance is out of town more and more. That allows the town to still have ALS ambulance coverage in town while that first ambulance is transporting. Or if there's a car crash and there's more than one patient, we are able to function and provide both ambulances and treat those patients properly. Simply losing that one spot, we lose that second ambulance. So we're going to lose those coverage for those second calls, which is going to decrease our ambulance revenue. But more importantly, it's a danger to the town, to the residents, for if whatever they may need. It's very, very frustrating, very concerning when before we got the safer members, when I was a captain, the ambulance was out on several calls. Can't tell you how many times I responded to another medical and sit there and can do very limited because I don't have the ambulance. I have to wait for ambulance from Millis, from Westwood, from Walpole, and you can only do so much. And you show up, and the residents see us show up, and they expect us to be able to do everything that we can do.
Right.
But without that second ambulance, we simply can't.
To replace the 4 individuals now covered by the SAFER grant.
Yep.
What are we talking about? 350, 400,000?
It's roughly I did some very rough numbers for 29 to get the full year, and it's just over 400,000.
So it's a big number, and obviously, Christine's looking at other options to maybe bring that down a little bit. There's I think a plan to maybe look at the revenue that's in the ALS fund to partially offset some of this, but it doesn't solve the whole problem. It's a concern for 28. So
Where does the revenue from the calls from when we send someone to another town, where's the revenue from that?
When Millis comes in and transports a patient,
No, like when we go to Millis.
when we go to Millis, we get that revenue
Yes, where does that live?
in the ALS revolving fund.
Are we gonna look at that?
yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
part of it.
yeah. So
We're utilizing that to offset for next year.
Okay, I was just curious, because when we talked about the SAFER grant, I guess 2 years ago, that was one of my questions. Was,
Yeah.
how might that increase the revenue?
Yeah.
In the long term, and I didn't get to watch the select board meeting about when they approved that grant, but I'm curious about that.
yeah, and we are
Yeah,
we are going mutual aid more now. We have the ability to go more, which allows us to increase that revenue. Having the second ambulance still in town allows our residents to be protected.
Oh, yeah, I'm not diminishing the value,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just curious.
And we are looking at those rates, possibly changing those rates to increase the revenue a little bit.
yeah, they are going to increase the rates.
The 16 full.
Good question.
Four people, 4 firefighters in the grant.
Yes.
All right, so that's really 12 plus the 4.
12 plus the
So you'd be 4 without 12 without.
Yeah.
Yeah, 25%.
Yeah.
And that's.
But the 16 is not with the
Yes,
No,
two that
the-
you're hiring,
the
like
16
18 the normal?
No, 16 is my full account.
Okay,
I'm down to 14 right now.
got it, okay, thank you.
But in that 16 is those 4 safer crash.
I have a question. And maybe this is more on our end. Our guidance to departments is 1.8 and you said your budget was at 4.9. Is it the other funds that are helping cover that, or did we look at cutting anything? I guess
So
what is that?
the way we have historically, dealt with department budgets is that we've kind of set the guidance at a sort of omnibus level.
Sure, for the town.
For the whole town, and we go down to just, the aggregate municipal department and school.
Right,
And then we leave it up to Christine. So we tell her, you know, all of your departments have to come in at 1.8%.
Not
The
each department.
aggregate, some of them are
if
less,
every
some of
department
them are
is
more.
looking at cutting to get to that number. I guess I'm curious if the fire department has evaluated its budget.
So we
to
have,
support
we
the
can't,
1.8.
well, we can't cut salaries,
Right,
which is 90% of the budget.
okay.
So there were no cuts available in fire department budget this year.
Okay.
We are looking to any operating expenses that
Not
we
that I
can.
want to cut.
Yeah, no, I get it. No, it's a valid question.
Everybody's going through it.
Any operating expenses that can be will be paid out of the ALS fund.
Okay. All for the,
We're also bound by the safer grant not to cut salaries, to move people and try and, you can't take the safer grant money to supplement the 12.
Mhm.
So we couldn't drop to 10, but keep the 4 on the safer grant. So
How many people are on at night?
We have 4 members on
4.
24 hours a day.
All right.
Captain and 3 firefighter paramedics or EMTs.
So every one of your employees is double certified firefighter.
Yeah, everyone's certified as a firefighter or in the process of becoming certified as a firefighter. And everybody is a minimum of an EMT. And every new hire since 2018, it has to become a paramedic. So we currently have three EMTs, and the rest of them are paramedics or in the process of becoming paramedics.
Do you have questions? Well, thank you.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
That's the full-time staff. I'm sorry. The call staff, everyone is certified to a firefighter level. 3/4 of them are also firefighter EMTs. There's a few that are not EMTs that have been here since before me, so
Okay.
they weren't required when they were hired.
Chief, to operate ALS, you have to have paramedic level staffing,
We have
correct?
to have 2 paramedics on duty at all times. So again, dropping to that 3rd would make scheduling a little more difficult.
All right. Anything you want to add or no? Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for all you do and appreciate the work the department does. So,
We have a fantastic group up there. Like to keep it going. They're doing a great job. They
Casino 5.
really they're really dedicated. They do fantastic work. And these 2 new hires, I think, will fit with them.
okay.
So,
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
did you want to talk about that?
Yes, actually, thank you. There is, I think Brent knows about this. Do you want to introduce it, Brent? Since the capital budget. So there is a opportunity that you could say is too good to be true, but it's true. And so I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, so this summer we were notified that our engine 1, which is our 2008 engine that was on the long-term forecast to be replaced in 2032. We were notified that the frame's rotting on it. And had a mechanic take a good long look at it. And he said we're going to be lucky to get 2 years out of that. Our current ladder truck is a 1997. So we're going on 30 years old with that truck. That was on the capital plan for, originally it was 27. So now we're in the situation where we need minimum number of trucks and minimum number of amount of water that can be transported to maintain our insurance rating, our ISO rating. So I was talking with the fire chief over in Westwood and just kind of going over that. We're gonna have to figure out 2 trucks here in a very short period of time. They were in the process of trading in one of their ladder trucks. It was on the schedule, it was up, and they were able to replace it. And they were only given $15,000 for it. So he reached out to Greenwood and he said he gave me his word. It's a good truck. It's solid. It works well. It's a 2003. It has a 100-foot ladder on it. Where the current ladder truck only has a 75-foot ladder. And so he reached out to Greenwood, and Greenwood basically was just giving him the $15,000. That's just take it off your hands type deal. They in turn offered to sell it to us for that $15,000. So I went over, had my mechanic, not my mechanic, the town fire department mechanic look at it and go through it. He said there's a few things that need to be fixed and updated on it. But he said, all in all, it's a very, very solid truck. I would be extremely hesitant about buying a used ladder truck or a used fire truck at all. People just don't get rid of them for no reason all that often. Knowing where it's coming from, our mechanic knows their mechanic, and they actually trained together for quite a while, and they worked together for a while, so they know each other personally. 2 of them spoke, and our mechanic feels very confident in this truck. So what that's going to allow us to do is buy that truck. But we have to change the lettering because we can't be driving around Westwood's truck. Change the lettering. Change the lettering and do some small repairs. So we're asking for 25,000, 10 for the truck, 10 for the lettering and repairs. What that allow us to do is that 2008 that has the frame issue, we can take that and send that down the road. We'll get a few dollars for that. I don't know what we'll get for it. Can't tell you if it's $5 or $50 or $5. I really don't know. But then we can take our current ladder, the 97 ladder, because that has a full pump on it also. We can then in turn make that to pay for our 3rd engine, or yeah, our 3rd engine.
Yeah.
To keep the rating. And it's going to be the 3rd truck, so being older, it can. I feel comfortable with that, making it a few more years. So what that in turn will allow us to do is flip-flop they'll buy us a few extra years, and then we'll buy the new ladder or the new engine before we buy the ladder. So we'll flip those 2 purchases. So yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of where we're at.
Any questions? So what they're asking for is, by the way, I think the part you left out is that a brand new ladder truck costs $2 million.
$2 million.
And it's like a 3 or 4 year lead time.
Yeah.
That's where you're saving up money.
Yeah.
Gas line.
It's $2 million in today's money.
Yeah.
January 1st of 27, that price is going to go up by about $150,000 to $200,000 with the new emissions stuff that's coming out. And you're right, 3 to 4 years out.
Yeah.
By the time you take possession of
it.
So even if this replacement ladder truck lasts the 6 years newer than it is, it costs $4,300 a year.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
And
I got my checkbook behind me. Fun this.
And again, just the fire we had the other day, we needed the 100-foot ladder, and we had to wait for it to come from Medfield. So
Yeah.
See.
And the capital budget committee already approved this. The other, they approved the purchase. We're not being asked to approve the purchase. We are being asked to fund it out of the reserve fund. And it's an authorization tonight because there's a potential it will come from the.
So after the chief presented to the capital budget committee, I met with Georgia Kalibas, who is our treasurer collector, who sits on the insurance trust fund for the town. And she believes that this will qualify to be an expense from the insurance trust fund because we've had something happen to the truck that has rotted out, the engine that rotted out the bottom. So she'll convene a meeting of the insurance trust fund, they'll discuss it. So this is just authorization, but I'm seeking other funding. So we also don't want to let too much time elapse and we lose the truck. So if the insurance trust fund says no, we at least have the reserve fund transfer money to do. But it's, as Joe said, an incredible savings for the town for.
Everybody understand that?
Westwood's taking delivery of their new truck this week.
Okay,
They're gonna need a week or two for training, so that their members become proficient on their new truck.
Yeah.
And then
so I would entertain a motion to authorize, I guess authorize me to sign for a $25,000 transfer in the event that the insurance trust fund does not come forward with the funding needed.
Nope.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay.
Good work
Right.
finding that, wow.
it was,
Thank you.
it was the,
It's nervous to be West.
we're just chatting at a meeting afterwards. And
Why we network. Why we
Yeah,
network.
that's amazing.
but they didn't get to the station, so.
Yeah.
Still owe them a beer.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Marion, you there? Come on up.
Have a lovely night.
What happened? The chief bumped you off first tonight, huh?
And I.
As
I
our
voiced
elected
a
official, I
complaint.
thought you would have had priority.
I usually do. I don't know what's going on around here. It's fine.
We're trying to move quickly on a trip.
I guess. All about trucks.
All right, everybody knows Marion Benaldi, our town clerk.
For good or bad reasons, yep. Yes, you
And
do.
who
That's
covered this?
me.
for
We
you?
met pretty straightforward.
Mm.
There was one part of the budget that we talked about that you provide to the school.
Right, so we were talking
We don't
about,
need to get into that yet.
yeah, I mean, we were talking about the cost of an election.
Yeah.
And how it affects the town clerk's operating budget, is essentially how we tripped into that.
Get your dogs registered to the census.
Right. Right, so, you know, kind of what we were leading into is last year, I had to ask for a reverse fund transfer for $11,000. And it had to do with the 2024 election cycle.
Yeah.
And during that time, I had submitted over $20,000 to the state auditor's office for reimbursement for the September and the November 2024 election. So the good news is that you guys had to give me the 11,000. I submitted the 20,000. I did get the 20,000 back. So I asked for 11, I got 20. So I made $8,000 in there somewhere. So that's how we kind of got
It's free cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Careful of your words.
I didn't see it. It went someplace.
Going to hold crap.
Yeah. So at any rate, that went into that. And then the other that we get every time is a uniform polling, which is about 29, I believe. At any rate, we get that every year for opening our polls hour early at the 6 o'clock hour. So at any rate, that was for state elections. So this year, for example, depending upon what happens at the town meeting and depending upon if that will trigger a special election, the cost of that election would obviously be coming out of my operating budget, which is the $36,800. Because it's local, I do not have an opportunity to obviously go through the state auditor's office to get any of that money back. That only happens when it's a state or a general election and we're dealing with local mandated early voting hours and things of that nature.
Mhm.
So I was just trying to bring Ashley up to speed about those additional costs. In other words, when a special election gets triggered, something like that, you'll be seeing me for a reverse run.
Reserve fund transfer, yeah,
So,
okay,
And we can talk again about the schedule, like if there is an override and then we get a special, so we would see her then, and then at the school, there's a vote for that. We
right.
need to plan for that as well, because
Right.
that's a local election.
So in terms of fiscal year, like obviously the potential special election for this year would fall in this fiscal year. Next year, I have the primary in September. I have the local in November. I'm sorry, the general in November. I don't know exactly what's going on in terms of schools and school votes or anything of that nature. I have not been privy to that.
Nothing at the speed of light.
Okay, so having said that, when it comes up, there would obviously be an additional cost for
Right,
a town election.
sure.
So Ashley was trying to figure out different ways that we could plan for that expense, knowing that it's coming. I had provided Christine and Brittany at one point a breakdown, which I can certainly provide to all of you as well, about how much it would cost to how much it is for a local election that is not involving early voting.
Mhm.
And it's approximately $15,000. When you're talking about everything from staff to ballot printing to police detail.
Yeah.
And
Are we positive, or is there still uncertainty on the timing of?
It's usually positive. Go ahead.
Do we know for certain when that vote will happen for the school?
Gosh, you did use sort of positive. No, we do not know. I mean, so we're in the process. This is sort of the subcommittee update, the process of picking an OPM.
Right.
Then with the OPM, we'll work on picking an architect.
Yeah.
And I'm told that's
It would have to go.
the MSBA is actually somewhat more quickly about the choice of architect than they are about OPM.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to explain why. So that can take a while. So anyway, once we've got an architect, then he or she or that firm will start working on a range of plans.
But
So-
realistically, you're talking about getting those two partners on board and then executing a feasibility study in a year before fiscal 27 ends.
okay.
That sounds aggressive, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm wondering is, I mean, this is a question, this is not a statement. Suppose we are fortunate and we get good architectural rendering by the spring of 2027 next year, but we don't, I think, want to do a special town meeting either right before or right after the town meeting. We want a little bit of a gap, right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah, all right. I was just trying to
So-
handicap whether it would fall in 27 or
Yeah.
28.
Right.
Oh,
That's
I
what
think it-
Ashley was trying to figure out.
It's probably, my guess is it probably is a fiscal 28, I guess.
fiscal 20.
Maybe the fall of 27 or something like that.
Yeah.
But.
As long as it's not the fall of 28, kind of busy.
Yeah, yeah. All right, any other questions for Marion on the budget? It seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It is pretty straightforward. but-
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Period. Good job.
Okay, the next department is IT, Owen. Good evening.
Good.
Thanks for coming out on a snowy night. So we have this budget sheet for you.
Yep.
And I guess we will let you take us through it, I guess.
Sure. So there are two areas of probably concern where we've increased the budget. The first is, if we look under.
Hold on a second. So this is the IT budget for the town side?
For the town side only. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that. There's another piece to this, that's the school side, right?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
and part of what's happened with the school side has impacted what's happening on the town side,
Okay,
if that makes sense. So
Okay.
for I've been with the town for 18 years, and when I came here initially, things weren't well organized. And what we started to do was use the umbrella of the town fund to incorporate all software and services under like one package.
Mhm.
So to try and leverage education pricing to cover everything on the town side. So that was the kind of overarching goal. And then what has occurred more recently, which you'll see at the lower section here, there's a line area which says picking up school services. You can see it's 33,000 and change. What that represents is funding which has been cut from the school side of the school budget, which I used to use to cover town services. So things like Microsoft Office, reinforcing our cybersecurity posture, things of that nature. I don't want to get into brands and products that we use for obvious reasons, but that's where that has been impacted. So I've worked with Christine and Brittany to try and figure out how we can ensure that we have that coverage, so we don't lose it because of the cuts on the school side. So that's why you see the increase of 33.8.
So just so I understand
Yes.
this, so historically, this was all budgeted under the school department budget?
Yeah. So,
And so now because of all the pressure this year, they've said we want to move some of this back to the town budgets.
yeah.
And what does it represent? Like, what's the cost cover, I guess?
So it's up to $33,809 is what the increased portion of, so the overall budget increase for technology is up by 67,286. And 33,809 of that is as a direct result of funding on the school side.
Right, but in other words, what is it the towns, what is there software, particular software,
Yeah.
or what is it? What are the details?
It's all software.
It's all software.
All software. So some of it is security. So some of it might be like antivirus.
Yeah.
Some of it is network security.
Yeah.
Some of it is just regular licensing for like Microsoft products
Okay.
and other software which is used. So what I've done with it is,
And how did they decide how much to split between the school and the town?
so what I had done earlier on in the year was I had provided the school with a cost estimate as to what the town portion of these products would be.
Yeah.
So now again, using the same multiplier that we do, which of education pricing. So I created two budget line items. If we stayed with education pricing and just split the costs 50-50 or whatever the percentage is, versus if I went out and got a private contract as a private entity, not an education entity, what the pricing would be. So obviously the latter is far more expensive. So we just ignored that. We're not going to deal with that. So instead what we said was, let's look at the overall invoice price for each individual product and work out what the town's percentage of ownership of that is. So we've already started to do that years ago when we were dealing with.
Was it kind of based on employees? Is that how you did it? Number of
Yeah, so part of it is based on FTEs,
Yeah.
Which we use for our advantage. So we can, there's a little bit of math involved in it. I get creative because I have.
Yeah.
So I base that off FTEs. Other line items are just solely based on the number of students in the district, and they'll get pricing based on that.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of related and interlinked. But what I just did to come up with this figure of 33,809 was to look at all the software items and the security elements that we're using and calculate out what would be the town's percentage of that.
Okay.
It's 40% of the overall cost.
Just so I understand that we're still getting the efficiencies
Yes.
of a combined
Correct.
entity.
Yeah.
It's just we're doing some accounting internally.
Yeah. When I met with
Separate the
Brent,
cost.
I was very clear. I really don't care where the money comes from.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's all town money. But I want to make sure it's been spent appropriately.
Okay.
And if I were to, as I said, take the latter option, we would have been paying corporate prices for everything that we're getting now. Didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So
why didn't you list it as software instead of picking up school service?
That's shorthand for us, because that's just a shorthand of.
So it's software for the town. Okay. Cool.
So essentially just the mechanics of it, an invoice will come to the schools, or let's just say our antivirus product. Copy of that will come down to the second floor. The town will pick up their portion, cut a check, the schools will cut their portion, and on we go.
And we've, and both sides have agreed on the formula to do this?
Yeah.
Going forward, we're
Yeah.
not gonna have disagreement.
No. So typically, like we'll say, for example, with Zoom, that's another example where we partner
Yeah.
with the invoices. I do a complete breakdown.
Yeah.
Of how many licenses are going to the town side, how many are going to the school side.
Okay.
And who goes what. It's worked well so far.
Yeah.
I have not seen any issues with that.
So there won't be a problem paying a bill to a company where you're getting the education discount, not coming from school department, because it's all coming from the town.
It's all coming from
Anyway.
the town. Yes,
Okay.
town checks. So in some instances, what I've done with them, when I've entered the initial contracts, I would say public schools / town of Medfield.
Nice.
So we already have that verbiage in there. So if they start to get prickly on it, I can say, well, this is what the licensing is for. We've not withheld anything from it.
All right. Any other questions? What about the maintenance contract? That's gone
So,
up.
yeah, the maintenance contracts has gone up by 28 and change. For a couple of reasons. There's been a couple of overruns over the past couple of years where we've had to go out and seek transfers, fund transfers at the end of the year. That's my mistake. So we've gone through the budget to make sure everything is covered, that we are not going to be running out of money towards the end of the year. The other driver of this has been software costs, which have gone up. They're going up typically 6 to 8%, depending on the products that we're using. Also built into this figure is a module which we've had to purchase for the website to make it ADA, or a change with the ADA structure, American Disabilities Act structure on websites. We've had to change one of the modules to facilitate the changes in that law. And the other piece in this is there's money for phones, and you might be aware we have got capital funding for a phone upgrade for the town. We've kind of hit a wall on that, so we've taken a step back, and we're doing a more kind of holistic view of the phones on the town side to see exactly how much we're spending on everything. We've audited everything out, and we're trying to do a cost analysis on every line that's currently in use in the town, which is a pretty big task to find out if we've got the right coverage on it, we're paying the right amount of money, or we're probably overpaying. And we're going to see hopefully some changes on that. I'm hoping we can drive the prices
That
down.
includes cell phones, right?
Yeah, there won't be much wiggle room on that side of it, but that's obviously an increasing cost. But the actual business lines, so things like the elevator line, everything like that, I'm just going through everything to see, are we paying the right fees on this, or have things gotten out of control? So we're looking at doing council and aging, wastewater treatment plant, public safety, town hall, town garage, outreach. That's the overarching goal of it, to try and unify all of those under one invoice, one monthly bill.
Yeah.
Is my goal.
Yeah.
It's a lofty goal, but
Okay.
I'm going to try.
Are you doing the same on the school?
I already did that. So
You
I did
already
that,
did that.
like 3 years ago.
Okay,
It's
okay,
We're always behind.
all right.
well, at least I've learned the lessons. It was a horrible task. It really was. But anyway, that's what I'm here to do. So
Did you help launch Parent Square?
I was involved in the back end of that.
I'm a fan.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That was a big project,
Yeah.
but I think it was worth it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Big hit.
Yeah. If I can do as well on the phones. That would be like,
Any other questions for Owen?
I guess just really quick on
Sure.
going back to the school services, is that just kind of a reallocation of percentage? Evaluating them again?
in terms, well, so the town has never paid for that in the past.
Oh, okay.
This is
It's
Gotcha.
the first time.
I see, okay, that's what I was wondering.
Um,
So the other line item then on equipment maintenance contracts was other town software services and equipment?
mm, Yes, yeah,
And then whatever was bundled under educational pricing was never actually split out. and
Yeah,
allocated.
this was the first time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
so. That was, I guess, one of the fallouts from the school budget piece of things, that
Yeah.
they cut things. So there's no, I mean, from the lens of the town, there isn't any real savings. It was
Right.
taken from here.
Right.
It was added to-
That was gonna be my question, is like, on the school side, there's a dropping school services for 33,809. And on the town side, we're picking it up for 33,809, so it's a net zero wash.
Right. All right, any other questions? All right,
Okay.
well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Kathy, how are you? Good. Everybody know Kathy McDonald from Outreach? Yeah, thank you for coming out on a snowy night and talking to us about your budget. I'll leave it up to you to take us through we have the spreadsheet here.
Sure.
but-
Well, first of all, thank you for having me and thank you, Jill, for meeting with me last week.
Yeah, happy to.
Thank you. Do you want just to get straight to it? Do you want me to give you any overarching key highlights? What would be most useful tonight?
I would say, you can give us some highlights if they're brief, I guess.
They're super brief.
Okay,
So
all right, yeah.
I just don't know if everyone's familiar with what Medfield Outreach does, and it can be confusing to a lot of people, but in a nutshell, we're the social service hub of the community, and we do 4 major buckets of things, if you will. We provide clinical services, counseling, connection to care, et cetera. We provide a whole variety of community-based financial needs supportive programs. We do that in partnership with a whole variety of private and public partners. We do prevention programming specifically around youth substance use prevention, youth substance use prevention, and suicide prevention. And most recently, we picked up the opioid abatement work as it aligns with the state sub-agreement. And there are 7 different strategies written about in that state sub-agreement. And we have hired a full-time clinician / prevention recovery clinician using those settlement funds. So as I speak to my budget tonight with all of you, it's important to note, I think I say this every year, our services are people, it's not our stuff. So our operational budget is pretty small, but it's also important to note that out of the 4 people that work in Medfield Outreach every day, 2 are funded by taxpayer dollars and 2 are funded through 1 settlement and also 1 through a federal fund. The DFC, the Drug Free Communities Grant, of which we're in year 7, approaching year 8, provides $125,000 per year through federal funds, which have been touch and go sometimes in recent times, but currently we have them, and that funds a full-time prevention worker. And then I'll wrap up, but I think it's really a great synergy between the prevention worker that works through the federally funded dollars, which is focused on 18 and below, and then this opioid settlement funds, which allows us to expand capacity to those who are above 18, maybe struggling with substance use disorder or a family member with such, and allows us to treat above 18 and connect people to care, and also work on prevention as part of that state sub-agreement. So that's some of the exciting ones.
For the salary expense on the opioid going from 68 to 0, is that somebody getting laid off?
No, it just was do you want to speak to it? It's just moved.
So we're paying it directly out of the settlement funds.
There's a settlement fund that was set up for all the opioid, litigation that comes in.
So of the 4 full-time employees,
Yes.
the 203,000 represents all 4, 2, 3, 2, just 2 of the 4, because the others are.
That's correct.
By opioid,
Settlement funds.
25,000.
That's correct. Yes. And the 125 settlement, not the settlement, but the 125 federal funds, that's not fully used on just one staff. It's also used for a variety of program
Right.
initiatives and supplies, et cetera.
This isn't going to be super negative, Kathy, but you're sounding optimistic that this federal money will keep coming. Are you?
So, well, that's why I mention it every year, because because I'm reminding you all that we're very lucky to have the federal funds. I mean, the hope is with these funds, as it was sort of taught to us at year 1 through 5, is that the goal of year 6 through 10 is to you have an increasing responsibility to find increasing matching funds. And the hope is that you will absorb this work into your various sectors that partner with you in doing this work, which we have several of those, and then leverage funding to keep this work going in your community. Thanks for teeing that up for me.
Yes.
So
Also, you set that up.
Did
It's like we rode an elevator together on the way up.
you say that it expires in 28?
So it's supposed to be 10 years. So you have year 1 through 5, and then it's a competitive bid cycle. And we were funded year 6 through 10, which means that we get to reapply every year, not competitively. So it's supposed to be an exercise of like, sure thing. But as you all know, there have been some clawbacks of money that's happening, especially around public health initiatives. And so there have been a few different times when we've had cease and desist that then have been repealed. So the money is there right now. We're currently applying for year 8. If it goes like the other years, it should just be a formality where we do our action planning and our budgeting, and it needs to get approved by the appropriate authorities. And then we get the notice of award, and it comes in, and the town's the fiscal agent for that.
When does the 10 years run?
So if we're going to be in year 8, 2029.
2029. Okay. Okay.
Because everything is 2020.
Really closely. I would say more so in the middle through high school, less so with the lower grades. But we partner with them quite a bit, especially through the wellness department.
Is that a part of their curriculum, or is it just on an ad hoc basis?
Both is true. So we have funded some curriculum, some DESE approved, but also evidence-based curricula that our grant funds will approve to pay for. So we've done that for them also. So it is a good partnership. I mean, really, the school is such a key player because, you know, you can get some curriculum into wellness and you're hitting every student that comes through there. So that's been really important part of our work.
I don't think that would be a big part of
It sure is.
your job.
Yes.
And how is the new space coming along?
Well, I hope it's going to go really well. We have a bid opening on February 19th, I believe. And I think we'll learn a lot from that. And then the next step would be for it to go to meetings and capital. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yes.
Oh, sorry, we have to approve it first. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We're trying, as you know, costs can continue to go up and estimates it's been a difficult process, not from lack of support from everybody here and on the town side, but just from securing vendors within our ballpark estimate.
So we're going back for additional to get it to. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much, Kathy. Thanks for all your
Thanks,
great work.
everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Pam is here, yes.
Hey,
You made it.
I did, yes.
Pam Gardner from the library, for those who don't know.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you guys for all of the hard work you're doing. I feel like especially this year. So I brought my favorite budget, my favorite operating statistics numbers. I know you guys look forward to this every year. You're like, you know what this means? We need more numbers. The first column is FY 2019, and then the subsequent columns are
Cool.
There's the account.
Really hyping this up. Let me see this. Oh, yeah, this actually is pretty cool.
I remember when we started tracking this. This is great.
So it's not, I used to do a 5-year comparison and drop off the last year. I don't think that's fair to do because otherwise if I'm starting in FY 21, it's looks like we've only had growth.
So I'm keeping that FY19. So this is for the fiscal year statistics. I report those to the state every year. That's part of our state aid accreditation application. So the fiscal year, we are slightly under where we were pre-pandemic for visitor numbers. Calendar year, we're back there. Finally, I've been promising this for many years now. But yes, we've returned to over 100,000 visitors for the calendar year of 2020. So the books checkouts, I don't know if you all remember, probably. But last year I said that we had the highest number of physical books checkouts in 10 years. If you look at this year, we exceeded that number. So yeah, that is a lot of children's books because a lot of adults have moved over to ebooks and e-audio. So those are the other numbers that have gone up. Our programs are going very well. So that's our the library events that we put on. We have increased the quantity of events we have and the popularity as well. Yeah, so those are my highlights from that.
You say e-books and e-audio borrowed from other libraries, is that what you mean?
No, so there are two different apps that the library puts money into in two different ways, but to give Medfielders access to ebooks and e-audio. And then one of the apps also has like comics, TV, and yeah, and movies, and music. And the other app also has magazines, not.
What is self-directed activities?
I'm so glad you asked. So it's largely two different things, and most of them are children's programs. So we call all of our events programs. I know that we use programs differently in this room, but I'm gonna slip up with that. So we used to count them as children's events, but the way that the state was counting them changed. So we break them out. So what we used to do that used to be counted as events is we have drop-in activities. So we'll put something in our children's programming room. We'll open the door, we'll turn the lights on, and we'll tell people, here are the rules for, put all of the toys and stuff back. So it's a lot of Legos and usually craft projects and other things that are ongoing. So that's usually something that we have going on the weekends when we have less staff that can run a staff-directed program. What we've started doing since the pandemic is also scavenger hunts. So we always have a scavenger hunt going on in the library. I can see we have a parent over here. With a scavenger hunt fan. So we change those over every month. So we do have kids in town who'll be like, we gotta go do the scavenger hunt. And then also take and make crafts. So this is craft kits that mostly volunteer. So the staff will come up with the idea and then volunteers will assemble the kits. And so they're in little paper bags. And so families can come in and take those to either do in the library or to do at home. So we count that's where we're.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about your budget?
Sure. Did you want to?
The only thing I'll have to say is Pamela is awesome, as we know. I did have these wonderful numbers, but no surprise. But last year, and that she took a real hard look at her budget to figure out how we could get to a good number and how we could still provide services, which you see are very popular, but make some cuts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the number that I really had my eye on is the library participates, and I think it's in an optional state aid program. This is separate from the town state aid. The library has its own state aid that is run by the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. And I talk about this every year, but I focus on different things every year. So this year, there are a certain number of things that we need to do, like providing these statistics to the state, We need to have a certain amount that we spend on library materials. So that counts as anything that's checked out. So either like the physical items that have the barcode or the ebooks that are getting checked out. And then another number that we look at that I don't normally talk about is there is a municipal appropriation requirement. And so that is the average of the previous 3 fiscal years appropriation multiplied by 2.5%. So you see what they did there. So it's not the last year's budget, but it is the average of this current fiscal year and the prior 2 fiscal years. So we average that out, and then that is increased by 2.5%. So for this year, it was 905,000. So that was really what I was keeping an eye on, because if we go below that, we would start having to apply for a waiver, and that's not guaranteed that we would get into that state aid accreditation. So that is, this year it was $34,000, but that's honestly not the biggest selling point of the state aid program. That's what allows all Massachusetts residents to walk into any public library that has received state aid accreditation and to use their services. So that's like what allows you to walk in. Well, also that they're part of Minutemen, allows you to walk in the mills, but that is what allows you to walk in to Walpole and get a library card there. They're in a different network. Foxborough, they're in a different network. You can go in and you can say, I'm a Massachusetts resident, and they all have different agreements with that. But so this is kind of the sharing. So if we lost the state aid accreditation, Medfielders would only have access to library materials within the Medfield library, and that would be a huge deal.
So you guard that.
Fiercely.
Got it.
So if we go in line by line, I took $2,000 out of our information technology and Minuteman Library Network line. So that is our technology plan, so that we will pay for out of that state aid that we are continuing to apply for and receive.
Yeah.
We can cover that money there. The electricity line, we've been high, I think, since the LEDs went in like 2015. So now's the time. We'll come down. So that's $3,000 there. And then library materials, this is, so I mentioned that there's a material expenditure requirement. This is money that we have to spend based on the municipal appropriation. So we have, based on our population size, we have to spend 16% on materials. That's the number that we've been looking at for every year prior to this. Earlier tonight, I spoke with the Library Board of Trustees, and there is the option for a materials expenditure requirement flexibility, because the Medfield Library is open so many hours and that requires so much more staffing. We can apply for flexibility, and if the trustees sign off, we would get it to have the materials expenditure requirement for the next larger population size bracket. So the Medfield Library is well over the number of hours open that is required for our population bracket, so we can apply for the materials expenditure requirement for the next one. So we're now looking at 15% in materials.
So the percent goes down.
So this reduction,
Because
you won't need it?
they're assuming there's going to be a larger staff, which is where a lot of money comes from.
So just so I understand it,
Yeah.
there's a $15,000 reduction on our sheet.
Yes.
Are you saying that you're able now to get that from the state?
So we are going to cover some of our materials out of the state aid,
Yeah.
but additionally, we don't need to spend. I was coming in with, we need to ask for 16%, and I'm now saying we're going to ask for 15%. So we're going to apply for this flexibility, and then we have that lower requirement. And it's actually really good.
So it's not really a cut, that are you gonna, I don't understand
It
it.
is a cut.
It's like a
She said
spending
that.
requirement.
She was gonna spend the cut
Spend,
for-
but where, are you gonna spend it out of some other bucket?
So we're going to be spending our museum passes program out of a different budget. But we're additionally, yes, it is also going to be a cut to in total. And where that's going to be, it's going to be the ebooks and audiobooks, which it's very good timing for that because of the system has changed. And so I don't think our patrons will really notice.
So this was identified in the list of cuts, right?
So this total amount of money was identified in the list of cuts because this is what it would have cost to close the library on Sundays.
Yeah.
Pam came to us about 2 weeks ago and said, I think I can do this within my budget, fund it from other places and not have to close the library on Sundays. And so we said, how about it?
Actually being creative.
This is actually more than
Yes.
Sundays. Sundays are
Yes.
$17,070. So I'm coming.
Yes.
So.
And if you cut on Sundays, you had to apply for a waiver, right? So that
So
you
that-
could figure out the state appropriations and that
That was gonna be my next.
was also
Yeah.
like
Yes.
gonna be that was not the best process, right?
Yes. And if we're
we
looking
don't like doing the waivers. We had to do it in 2020.
with
Yeah.
things like fire that can't be cut, that could potentially hurt our ability to receive that waiver. Because if they're looking at other town departments. So I don't remember. I want to take that back. Police and fire might not be included, but they're looking at other town departments, and there are other town departments that don't have that are looking for increases.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility. We would have to look at a lot of numbers before we could confidently say that we could receive that waiver. So the better option is not to apply for the waiver and to fund the library above that $905,500 something dollars, and we're looking at that and the applying for the materials.
Well, for you, that's creative.
Everybody-
Full-time or part-time employees.
I knew you were going to ask that because you asked somebody else, and then I was like trying to do it in my head because we've rearranged. I think we are
6 first.
10.6 FTE. Okay. So
Where's your GFOA budget, everybody? Page 25.
That's why I got the number.
because we changed so many, we combined a benefited part-time position and an unbenefited part-time position to create one full-time position. And I have so many numbers that I've been holding in my head with the budget. I
Okay.
So I think we're around 20, and it's either 6 or 7 full-time, including me, and then the rest part-time. We have 6 pages who are high school students who come in 3 hours a week to show us.
You might not know the answer to this question, but we see like a $900,000 number sheet.
Mhm.
What's the total spend, that you're using in other trust funds or reimbursements from the state or federal government?
Yeah,
That's not showing up here.
it varies really widely.
Yeah.
And we just started our new strategic plan. So we're just kind of so we had kind of put a hold on a lot of that spending leading up to that. I can say for the library events are all funded not out of the operating budget. So by either the library friends that has it's really robust fundraising, or we're looking now at increasing that even more with use of some of the state aid. So that right now the events it's $28,000 a year, and we're looking at.
I guess maybe a ballpark, like is this 90% of your total? Like, is there 10% coming from other sources? Or is there 20%? I mean, I'm just trying to understand like how big of a expenditure do you manage? This is the town piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea?
And again, because it varies really how we spend it, and a lot of times we will save up and do, like right now we're working on a couple of different, we're working on a building project which is going to be entirely funded through the funds that are not on this sheet, and we're working on getting new furniture to meet the needs. We moved around some of the collection, and so now we're looking to get the appropriate furniture.
Okay. This says 10.6 FTEs.
So they go in here.
Got it.
I love this committee.
Any other questions for Pam?
Oh, and I did also come down and offer supplies as well.
Yes.
So just to reinforce this, because I think this, bless you, I think this is buried and it needs big news. The library is going to stay open 7 days a week with this number.
Yes.
We'll make sure the
With this-
recording picked that up.
With this
because-
lower number than the original 7 days a week, then the 6 days a week. Yes, which we had, I do have that number we had on.
Did you reflect that in that sheet?
Um,
You'll see the prioritization.
We had on average 180 people coming in every Sunday, and I don't know if the trustees are gonna remember off the top of their head, they calculated how much each Sunday would cost, so if we split that up, it's $25.
Oh, do we have? Maybe you should, I didn't realize we have trustees in the room. Introduce yourself.
I'm Lauren Feeney. Sarah Westerland.
Okay, great. You're the library trustees that oversee.
Two of the six.
two-
Yes,
okay.
they were encouraged to come when we were looking at the not being open 7 days a week. And then they came anyway, so yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good job.
So we had the veterans as a department we're going to look at tonight, but the representative it's a joint sharing relationship with Walpole, and he actually is meeting with Walpole Warrant Committee tonight. So they pick up a bigger piece of the.
Come here. They picked up a bigger.
No, they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. So we'll have to have him back, maybe a Zoom call or something with him later.
Yeah, what was that?
Okay.
All right, Steve, are you here?
You guys know.
Thank you.
You know, Steve Resch from the Health Department.
Hello.
Hello, how are you tonight?
Good.
Thanks for coming. All right. Well, we have this sheet that I'm sure you've seen. Tell us a little bit about the Health Department and what's changing, I guess.
Okay, well, just as a basic overview of what the health department does, we regulate food establishments in Medfield. So we have 78 food permits that we issued this year, plus 27 temporary food event permits. We regulate tobacco. We have 6 tobacco retailers. We regulate animals, 35 animal permits. We do stormwater reviews for larger projects. So we did 5 of those. We do about 5 of those reviews per year. We handle housing code enforcement and get roughly about 12 to 24 complaints per year. And we also do infectious disease surveillance, emergency preparedness, and we are responsible for regulating on-site wastewater, so basically septic systems. So there's like 900 septic systems in Medfield, and we have to deal with inspecting those, making sure they're repaired correctly, reviewing plans for new ones, making sure they're decommissioned when they link to sewer, those sort of things. So that's broadly, what we do, in addition to some public health nursing. Besides infectious disease surveillance, we have regular nursing services, prevention programs, and engaging mostly with the COA population and the other vulnerable populations in the town. And what's new in the health department this year is basically, I guess, we went from a model where we used to have basically no employees except for Nancy Bonatti, who's our administrative agent, and we used a contracted health agent, and there was no town employees besides that. And then for a while we had a public health nurse, and then we didn't. And this year now we have a part-time public health nurse and myself, who is now taking the role of being both the director of the department, but also the health agent. So I'm taking the health agent responsibilities. So I guess that's our, I don't know what's the FTEs, that's probably like
It was 2.75, but that sounds
Not
a lot lower.
it's got to be 1 point.
Well, I know, but according to page 27.
They're cutting this out in the budget next year.
I know.
So anyway, it's basically three of us, three bodies, if you want to think of it that way. And our operating expenses are that the request is for $22,000. So I don't know how much time you want to spend on it, but it kind of looks like it's an increase from the year before, but that's really associated with actually having employees now. So most of the difference is that we have to do continuing education and professional development and participate in our professional organizations that has some dues and membership fees. The other areas where we had increases in advertising because we're anticipating, we've overspent in that category in years past because of advertising for public hearings when we make Board of Health regulation changes. And we're anticipating at least three of those hearings need to be advertised in the coming year. So we adjusted the budget, up $500 for that. And then the reason there's an increase in the medical services and supplies line is because we're responsible for paying a service that collects sharps, like used needles. If you ever see the kiosk over in the public safety building, our budget pays for that kiosk and the service that empties it out every, twice a month or whatever it is. I think it's twice a month now. And they had an increase in their cost because we were filling, since the Ozempic and all of that, there's been a lot more use of needles by people in town. So that's increased the volume and they have to collect from the thing more often because it fills up. And so there's it went from something like $2,200 to $3,500 for that.
Well, it does seem really straightforward, I guess, the budget. Yeah.
This is not a crucial question, but you mentioned 35 animal permits.
Yeah.
What does that involve?
So if you have chickens, horses, pigs, any of those sort of farm animals, they all have to be permitted. Now it's not per chicken, so more than
He was looking for a revenue opportunity.
I was thinking this could be how we balance the budget.
It's for up to 10 chickens per permit. So
They come by and inspect, right?
and we did once have someone who argued they didn't need an animal permit for their pig because it was actually a pet.
Yes.
And the Board of Health agreed with them after their test.
Really?
Yeah.
Bacon. It was bacon.
The pig named Bacon?
It was bacon. Yes. His name was Bacon. He's not a pig. Yeah. He's chapter 4 of my book.
Friend has pigs and he calls them dinner one, dinner two.
Any questions for Steve?
Thanks for all you cover.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you. It's a lot.
You've been here for a year now, right, in this job?
I was.
I know you were on the board.
Board of Health,
for a
yeah,
long time.
and then I've started in right after Labor Day.
Okay, okay,
Less
less than a year, okay,
It's been incredibly helpful.
yeah,
To us to actually have health department. Yes.
yeah. Thank you for all you do.
Sure.
Finally got
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, too.
Okay, Sarah. Sarah Hannafin from the Council on Aging,
Hello. Thanks for having me.
yeah. Who met with?
I did.
You did, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'll let you
Yeah,
introduce her.
well, thanks for coming, Sarah. And I think that budget kind of speaks for itself here. I'll let you run through it, but.
Absolutely. Let's start with some good news. Real quick, the garage is up. They started construction on January 12th, so it's very exciting. As I was leaving to head here, they were finishing the roof today, the decking, so that was exciting. All right, now to the numbers. Equipment repair and service, you'll notice that went up $500. That's more wear and tear on our buses and kitchen equipment. So that's the reason for that. Utility, which is the telephone. We are getting a phone upgrade. So you'll notice that there was an increase there of $1,500. Printing, postage, stationery. We do an outreach campaign. It's a birthday campaign, and we mail a birthday card to all residents who are turning 75 or plus, which is really neat. Get lots of phone calls afterwards, thanking us for the cards, and that's their way to come in, which is great. And once they come through the door, get a tour, learn about all the different things that we offer. They come back. So yeah, it's a great outreach campaign. So there's an increase in that with $400. And those are the highlighted ones.
And then this is the reduction here was one identified in your cut, right?
This would close the Saturday program for the Council on Aging.
Saturdays.
Yeah. So instead of running 6 days a week, we would run 5 days.
Do you want to maybe just educate the folks here a little bit on what you guys do on Saturdays?
Sure. So the program is open on Saturday. I don't know if you have the year. It started with a grant. Roberta Lynch started that years and years ago. When the grant ran out, the town picked up the Saturdays. It's a little over $16,000. We typically have about 36 people that average coming through the door on Saturdays. We have a Zumba class, we have line dancing, ping pong, bingo. We have a self-serve library, and people come in just to socialize. So we have one full-time Saturday staff who works every Saturday, and then there's 4 rotating who work with her, and they work once a month. We're open from 8:30 to 3. So
this 16,000 is basically the payroll. For
salary, correct.
Yeah, the payroll for the Saturday employees.
Those employees work other times during the week?
Not here with us, but they have other full-time jobs.
How many people utilize the COA a year?
Oh, that's such a great question. It's an excellent question, and I actually wrote that down. So in 2025, we had 253 new participants. We held 937 events last year. We provided 1,373 services to 856 people. We served 1,484 people over 26,349 times throughout the year. And we have a daily average attendance of 81 people per day. So we're very busy down there. Yeah, come on in. We're a welcoming center at age 50, and there's something for everyone.
That's perfect.
All right. Any other questions for Sarah? Well, thank you for everything that you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.
All righty. We are getting to the close to the end there. Katie.
Almost the best to laugh, but Lisa's like.
Lisa's laugh. That's right. That's right. Everybody knows Katie, right? Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Park and Rec.
Pam's a tough act to follow, but I'm gonna try. Thank you guys for having us.
You want to say anything?
Yeah, Katie and I met and Ashley as well. Some things we'll talk about in the coming weeks. And then I think tonight we'll just hear a little bit about how the programs are going, budget, and there's some supplemental information that Katie and team worked really hard on, just to help us understand a little bit about top programs, how the fields are operating, ponds, and the revolver account.
Do we want to start with the operating, because that's a little bit less in depth?
Yeah, it might be easier. Yeah.
So if we look for our fiscal year, we went down in our salaries based on our two new hires, and hire them their full range. And so with salaries, we came down a bit, and then grounds and maintenance, we went up a bit on the operating expenses as well as our electricity. Typically around March, we pivot to the revolving account to pay for the rest of what we need it for grounds, electricity. So what we're trying to do is better understand what that deficit is. So we're asking for a little bit more money to see if that bridges the gap. And then looking at it this year, what I'm going to be paying attention to is in March is when I do pivot with the revolving account, seeing how much the revolving account is paying for the bills that we think operating account should be paying for.
But this is more just routine maintenance stuff.
Yep. We already started this year, $10,000 over our water line. So around $35,000 was spent. We do only have 2 reeds. The summer reed is always our biggest reed. We did have a drier summer, but we also are looking into our irrigation system. One is when our irrigation system came out, instead of setting a 20-minute timer, they set it for 40-minute timer. And we didn't catch that until about 4.5 weeks. So that's a lot of additional water. We are looking at our irrigation system because it is pretty old, and looking at possible water leaks at McCarthy specifically. So that's hopeful for this spring is to come out to see if we do have a leak, or was it just the usage?
Is your system, is it one of the newer systems that can predict the weather and adjust the watering?
It's funny. No. Maybe the
Those are really cool though.
I have one in my home.
No.
It's actually very good.
They do work well.
Yeah, and that would be something we're on timers.
It knows when it rains, and it's
Turns
like,
it off. Yeah.
it's like pretty good.
Yes, it's called
Saving.
Katie, and then part-time groundskeeper, we get out there with our umbrellas and turn off the timer. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with our operating account.
Something to look forward to, maybe do an upgrade in the future.
And so just so I understood, the salary piece is, the reduction there is because, why again?
We hired 2 new positions at not the cap of what we have for the total budget of those positions.
Okay,
We
so
are a little lower than.
they're low with the budget. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah. We have 4 full-time staff members, 1 part-time right now, and seasonal 85. We do have the challenge of this year is we don't have a groundskeeper still. Our groundskeeper has been out since January 27, 2025. So we did have to do an allocation at the end of the fiscal year to help. We had a subcontract out with Dad versus Lawn during the spring, and then partially during the fall of this year, simply because we can't keep up with it when our seasonal help leaves. So that is still something that is ongoing, that we are gearing up right now for our spring.
housekeeper, which is a full-time position.
Would that normally be in the salary?
Mhm.
Okay. I guess my question was. I'm not totally following we switched to the revolving account, like to pay in March, like what is the budget? Requested for these items, are those the real numbers or?
So we're getting better at, when I started here, paying of the bills was a little archaic and we didn't know when previous people started pivoting, but it was never enough to cover the bills of what we were using it for. So electricity was always higher up. So then we would start pivoting. I don't know at what time, but there was not enough money in the operating expense to pay like our Eversource bills.
The operating budget was never created to fully fund Parks and Recreation. It was created as a supplement to the revolving.
It's been a shift to get in front of that.
Like, where are we in that shift?
I don't see it shifting anymore, but I think Katie feels differently.
Depends on how successful we are when it comes to a no building.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear what Sam, I guess like, if we're to like oversee the budget, and this isn't the real budget, this is some like percent of the budget, because historically we didn't budget for it, because we were paying out of the money that we made in the revolving fund, like, it's a little hard to like
We can look
oversee that.
at the revolving fund.
Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, we
though?
can,
Like-
I don't know, my take on it is, there's maybe school thought on what hits revolver and what's operating budget, and that's kind of what this reallocation has been the past couple of years, to try to shore up budget.
Yeah,
But we can-
part of this is a legacy, it goes back years of how the Park and Rec department was run. And,
But we changed the type of revolving fund
Yeah.
2 years ago to
Yeah.
allow more flexibility.
Yeah.
Yes,
In expenditures.
yeah. So, I mean, I think,
I don't know if we have like a,
I don't know what the plan is long-term here. It sounds like there's not agreement on that, but that's kind of why we're in this situation. I don't know if
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So for instance, telephone would be something that at 3,000 should never be in the revolving fund. So these are items that theoretically, none of these expenses should show up in the revolver. Hard and fast, just to run Park and Rec should be here, and then to run the programs and everything there.
Yeah.
Is there. So that's what you've got to. So this is just the cost of, call it the home office.
Mhm.
The administration. I think that's kind of what you're saying, I think.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
but I think she's
Yeah.
saying that
Yeah.
when she talks about this pivot, there's still some of it that's
So some that needs to be.
coming out of the.
But we'll
I guess what I was thinking was like, it can't only cost $67,000 to,
Oh, no.
like, I mean,
Like our ground
so it's like,
division alone. We'll get into
Yeah.
it during the revolving account.
Yeah.
It's just,
there's a
but-
bigger,
yeah, what
Yeah.
we see as Park and Recreation, which we agree on, is that our programs are used by our field income should pay for our fields, because that shouldn't be on the town, because it's our family,
running a
our
little
residents,
business,
our
right.
programs.
Yeah.
So like, but we'll get into potentially a pivot when we get into the revolving. Yeah.
All right. Any more questions on the budget?
guess, is the further reduction, just in same reasoning behind salaries coming in where they were hired?
So we did an analysis of the overtime, and they have not been expending the overtime, so we think it's very comfortable in talking with Katie that we could reduce it by 5,000.
Thank you.
And we have a larger staff now, so we should be able to account for those hours.
All right. If there's no more questions on the budget, why don't we talk about the revolver?
This is the green finale. Park and Recreation. So the.
We have a lot of spreadsheets here, so
Should
maybe.
we start at the main event revolver and then work
So
our way?
this is
to
all
the-
revolving. It's just.
Correct, I just
Yeah.
felt like there's a nice tidy one that we've got.
Yeah, the last page.
Top of the house,
That's
kind
the-
of,
If one looked up.
So that's
like
the last
this.
page.
I will
Yeah.
just give you maybe a better lay of the land, and then some of this other information is supplemental to what is
Is
included
that
in there.
this one? No,
Is that this one?
which one is the
No,
last?
that's
page?
programming.
Which page do you want us to look at first?
No.
This one, Joe,
Speaking
that's why
by-
all the way.
Yes,
Was it in the packet?
was the last tab in that spreadsheet.
There's our last sheet.
Look like.
This one, Jill?
No,
No,
No.
I don't know if it's in the.
It might not be in the packet, yeah. Was it in that spreadsheet?
It was, yeah, it was the last tab.
want to make copies?
Well, maybe they can make it for you, but someone can make it.
Okay, well, we'll come back. Maybe we'll walk through the other things that are there and then
Yeah.
have a grand finale. Okay.
I guess I can talk like as we're creating. So one of the tasks the warrant committee has come up with is we're trying to think of creating additional revenue. So I guess, so for you, we did have an additional staff member. We do have an assistant director now. We had a couple of challenges other than the staff center shutting down. That obviously is a hindrance of what we can offer. However, our staff has pivoted to moving more programs outdoors as well as special events. If you will go through, but briskly. So if you, this page right here, which is your highlighted page, so it shows our top 5 programs of the last 3 fiscal years. But you'll see this year's pivoting. We, when I started, we did not do special events. We do 7 special events right now, which created $6,800 in the fiscal year last year. And then our swim team actually came in as number 5. We had a couple more swimmers. We actually made around the same amount of money last year. However, we had to purchase lane lines so that we could host swim meets. So you'll see kind of where we're at as far as our total cost revenue. So when we did make that pivot to special events, we saw that we can be successful, run them outdoors without having indoor space. And then it can create additional revenue for us. So that was one addition. In the fiscal year coming up in 27, we're expanding camp. Which is a lot of families are excited about. Specifically, yeah, we're getting ready for the Hunger Games in March.
I'm ready.
Listen, get ready with
Ready to sign up.
multiple sign-ins. We are expanding our camp, and that means our Teen Extreme program that started 2 years ago is now moving from 4 years. 4 years, yeah, it feels like 4 weeks to last summer was 6 weeks to this year we're doing 8 full weeks. So we're super excited. That wouldn't be possible without the school's partnership and letting us use their space. So we do have that expansion as well as our half-day program. We started it last year, and then so it went from 6 weeks. Now we're moving to a full 8 weeks. So that will hopefully generate some more revenue for us. As well as our field rentals, in our rental fee structure, as well as our new tennis courts. So we've been reaching out to some local organizations that used us previously, and then we had to turn them away. So we're having them come back, but we're looking at our fee structure because it was like $10 an hour. Prior to me coming here, our fee structure had not been changed in 15 years. So we're trying, as you'll see, we're bridging the gaps a bit with our field, but we also didn't want to price gauge our residents and our youth. We're looking for more rental groups for our summer in McCarthy. We have a lot of rental space in the summer, not in the spring or fall. So hopefully that is going to create us more revenue. And then our half-day events, now that we do have another full-time staff member, we're able to go and do bigger programming. So usually we pivot on a half day. We take our vans, which could only fit 12 kids, 2 staff members. So that's the only thing we could do. Now we're pivoting after feedback of our ski club that we pulled off this year, is pivoting to more outdoor activities. So tomorrow we are taking 48 middle schoolers snow tubing, which we haven't been able to do in that number previously, and 3 full-time staff members will be going on a bus, which created a revenue of around $1,800 just for one day. We don't mean to do that all the time. It's just we have to keep our cost of what we think we're going to get for registrations. And then we're lucky we sold out. It depends on the year. So that's what I kind of wanted to highlight. And then on that same note is just, we are having limited programming problems because of the FAP shutdown. That is one of our issues. Our second issue was, we knew that this was going to be a challenge, is when the school times changed, the elementary schools get out sooner. So we're hearing from families, it's not easier to get to programming because the babysitters or whoever is helping them with their transportation is in school. So it's harder to get to our programs. But then if we do our programs a little bit later in the day, it's getting toward their dinner time, bedtime. So we're looking at now I want to say capitalizing, but pivoting our programming to the older group, because we are having more success with our middle schoolers, which is, we love our partnership with Nat and Kelly at the middle school. But hearing what they say, what they want to go to Canton Tree Tops in the spring, we're going to Canton Tree Tops on a bus. Like, it's one of those things to make a pivot. So that's kind of a highlight of our programs. Now that you all have the front sheet.
Yeah, we have it.
We have it.
Yeah.
I think the original.
This is a breakdown of our last 5 years. And this was tasked with us last year to come in with a little bit more meat. So that's why we created this Excel sheet to see our programs, how many we offer, what is the total income and revenue, but also what we could possibly make as our profit. This year, you'll see a number is getting bigger, and that is because as far as this is an estimate. We also, because of our programming, we hope that they'll sell out, but we're seeing with the after school programming, it's not being as successful as years past. So we're looking to see in the fall, what would our program look like as far as it more after school? Is it more of those half day? Are we pivoting to more weekend trips like Canopy Lake Park on a Friday during Halloween to kind of expand our offerings outdoors, because we are limited with space. Revenue, salary, we are increasing summer camp, so hopefully it will go up even more. And then total operations, one thing is we are paying out of the revolving account for the UCC rent, so that's an additional expense for us. And that's where we're at as far as the last couple of years at a glimpse.
I'm sorry, UCC?
Hmm?
UCC is.
Yes, the UCC church. Yeah. And that's going great. They've been offering great programming space. We do have some families that feedback is that they didn't want to go to church for programming, and we understand that. And but right now we're just limited with space and we could go, but they've been a great partner. It's easy for us. We have limited storage space, so it's great to have a program right across the hall. And so the other partnership that has been amazing is the COA. So we use their space a lot at night after they're holding our special events like the Winter Ball, the Spring Fling, Pictures with Santa. Without them, we wouldn't be as successful as we are, because they do have, in my opinion, the best space in town to host our bigger events. Our Hawaiian luau caused like Taylor Swift issues that we had so many people wouldn't even, Christine, how do I get a ticket? So
Maybe say hey.
we're getting there. So we're excited for that.
Katie, on that lease with the UCC, how long does that go for?
We're year to year right now.
Year to year, but they've expressed interest in you guys.
They do, but they do
Stay in
have,
early.
because this is what always happens to Park and Rec. We show how great they are, and now they have other people coming in to look at the space. So they do. Last year we got kind of scared because they did have a licensed daycare coming in, and for whatever reason they decided they're going to hold off a year. So we are having conversations earlier, depending on what happens with our capital project. But obviously that would have to be built if it all goes well. What would that look like, and how do we secure that space? Because I love my job and I don't want to move again. It's already a lot moving pieces. So, but right now it's like a year-to-year contract that ends in September.
Okay.
Oh, it's September to September.
Okay. Any questions? Did you want to go through any of these other sheets?
Yeah, so I just want to highlight just really quickly. We do our field revenue and expenditures. We are, and this is kind of to Emily's point, no, $7,000 does not run our grounds. We do run 30 acres of land. So mostly our revolving account pays for when we purchase equipment, stuff like that. We are bridging the gap this year we spent a little bit more on expenditures, but we created a little bit more revenue. One large part of that was Montrose because their field is under renovation. However, from that, we've had some private groups now contact us because of the space that they saw, which is great. Summertime is what we keep highlighting is we have space at McCarthy. MedComic, we have a long-standing relationship with a soccer program, and they've been amazing. So that is helpful. And like I said, our new tennis courts, we're hopeful that we're reaching out to some new vendors. We do have a really successful tennis program on Tuesday nights. And then, so that is, we are bridging the gaps with our fields. They still are running in a rapid. We're bridging the gaps. And then the other deficit that in its own entity is our Hinkley Pond. As you see on this page, I don't know what in your packet.
Running thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Christmas color.
Oh, you guys have color. We do run the pond at a deficit of $61,000 in summer 2025. I started here in 2023. The pond passes and seasonal passes have gone down year after year. Unfortunately, our pond is not a destination spot. It's not the beaches. It's not, we have cool water snakes and turtles, but it's not nature's classroom. So the commission and I are exploring options. I do want to know our payroll is for lifeguards only. Yes, our summer camp, this was brought up at the Warrant Committee last year. Yes, our summer camp does go into our pond. So what does that look like? But it's only a fifth of the time. I remember Steve asked me that question last year. We operate 56 hours a week and the camp is only there 10 hours a week. It is a conversation about lifeguards. It is not abnormal, depending on like the size of the pond, to go unguarded and swim at your own risk. That is something the commission and I have been talking about. Whether that will happen, we don't know. It was proposed potentially, depending on our insurance. And working with Christine and Brittany, what would that look like? Because people swim at our pond from 9 to 11 when we're not there. When the guards show up, we have to ask them to leave. And then 6 to 9, even though we post no swimming, lifeguards aren't on duty, they still swim. It's still a liability for us, but it's just something that we're looking at in potentials of how do we not take and accrue such a deficit on a pond that we could put firework display there. We're never going to break even on this pond as far as the way it's currently run. The other Sam and Son Sands, the pump, the lifeguarding, the GLF testing, that's all that has to go from a pond and licensing as far as Board of Health.
This is all run through the revolver. Right?
All revolving.
Yeah. So the commission is looking at this to decide kind of what's the long-term solution here.
Yeah. We're looking at
so that you're not running a deficit every year.
all avenues, but look, as a director, it's not that like I also think about if you don't have it guarded, the safety, right? If what if that happens? It's just one of those things that we're gonna have to look at.
Yeah.
But with the size of our pond, it's very small. Accidents happen anywhere. However, we can't compare ourselves to a lot of people like, oh well, Natick. I'm like, Natick. They're massive.
Yeah.
The Franklin does not go guarded. They are unguarded. So we've been mimicking and when talking to their director, what does that look like? Why did they pivot?
Yeah.
I think we could run a similar model and be successful. But
okay, all right. Well, your revolver is in good shape. Right? I mean, it seems like it's grown in balance the last 5 years. So that's good trend.
Despite frankly being
Yeah.
imagine if it wasn't though, how much my revolving would look like. And that's where we say in the coming years, looking at our operating, as long as we can keep with these numbers and hopefully with some sort of home, we can offer more. So that way we can be less dependent when it comes to operating expenses on the town side and be able to start saying, we don't need extra money. We can do X, Y, and Z with the revolving.
Yeah. I think tonight we don't, I think you mentioned we're not going to talk about the articles.
Nope.
It was just this discussion. So we'll have you folks back, I believe on the 24th date, to talk about that article for the prefabricated buildings. Yeah. All right, any other questions for? Katie?
Just one little quick, on this sheet, with we got the fancy $3. Fee projections based on RES fees, what's RES?
Residence fees.
You.
Oh, yes, sorry.
No, no.
And if they join online. This is really weird not having
Right.
to go with me.
You know,
Oh, sure.
Not specifically about Katie or the budget, but more about this settlement payment that we are supposed to be getting at some point from the court case, and whether that we've seen any evidence of that anywhere.
Yeah, my understanding is, I could let you answer that, but my understanding is it's close to, we're close to getting it.
We are.
Okay, that would go into the revolver.
Revolving.
Yeah, that's where it should have been in the first place.
Can't wait to show you my number next year.
All right, well, thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Yeah.
thanks, Katie.
Nice work. No, she is on one, so let me just get squared away here. Oops. I think I see what I'm What happened to you today, Kate?
I'd like to also thank Andrew, our town accountant, for helping these numbers.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
He's the best. I make him smile. Like right now, he's chuckling. He will not like me tomorrow.
Bring donuts.
So we have Chief Garrett to cover the police department, and she's joining us remotely. So good evening, Chief. How are you?
I am very well, and I would like to thank the committee very much for allowing me to join remotely so that I could attend event with my family tonight. I did have a personal conflict, so this is greatly appreciated. And I wanted to say hello to Elizabeth, who I have not met through this process yet before. So welcome, and I hope the information that I give you meets your standards.
Nice to meet you.
All right. Pete, did you want to say anything?
No, I met with the chief. We talked about her budget. She is coming in. She's managed to save some money, which I heard described, mostly on overtime and other things. And so hopefully, but she is this year, things are fine. If she said that if there's no override, and when I first speak to this, and she has to go through a comparable exercise next year, that would be potentially kind of tricky to handle.
When you say next year, you mean 28? Fiscal 28. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Chief, do you want to start out and go through the budget?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll handle 1 year at a time here. What I'll do is give you guys kind of a brief overview with a little bit of explanation, and then I am prepared, obviously, to answer any additional questions you have. So our police budget in general, for any of you who are familiar with police and fire budgets, you understand that 90% of my budget is going to be salary related. Our operations side is around $313,000 is our request. I believe that's about a $13,000 increase, which represents mostly our software contracts that we've seen consistently go up between 5 and 10% per year. The salary line represents our step and COLA increases for our officers. Those are fixed under the collective bargaining agreement. I know we had presented a level service budget, and then we were asked to, tighten our belts and see what we could do. I looked at our overtime budget, and our overtime budget, just to give you a quick overview, is comprised of a lot of our collective bargaining agreement mandates. And one of those mandates is paid time off for our employees. We have that liability of making sure that if an employee is on a day off, that we can backfill them and adequately staff the town with the appropriate level of public safety. So we do budget for this liability. This is the area where I believe we can be a little more restrictive in how we are doing our overtime. We are currently fully staffed, so the deputy and I are taking extreme measures to try and do things like our mandated training on days that we know we have additional personnel as to help reduce our overtime costs. So we are looking at a 0.9% reduction. That is a pure overtime reduction of $29,192. I would be remiss if I did not allow the warrant committee to know that every year when we have an opportunity to have additional overtime funds available to us, they are immediately being used for community events. So this year, if we are cutting back our overtime, I am not confident that we are going to be able to cover all of the community events without at least asking the vendors to help participate in some way to offset those costs. Those events would be the Pan Mass Challenge, Angel Run, Medfield Day, Holiday Stroll, Little League Parade. Those are just kind of a few that come to the top of my head. In terms of our operating budget, the only real increase was one into our uniform budget. We have a collective bargaining obligation that we needed to meet, so that's what that increase is. So that's my police salary line. If you move on to my traffic marking signs and lights, this is where we are seeing a 26% increase in our traffic markings. When I started, our traffic markings ran us about 4 cents per linear foot. That number has skyrocketed. This year, we paid 9 cents per linear foot, and we are looking at potentially 11 cents next year. I know this is probably gibberish to many of you, so I'll try and keep it very simple. These are the long yellow lines and the white lines that you see in the streets. We have them painted every year for safety reasons. We cover about 444,000 linear feet of lines per year. Mogulay and DPW have been absolutely amazing partners to us. They have, over the last 2 years, picked up all of the hand painting. So those crosswalks, stop signs, stop lines, our school notifications in the roadway. And that hand painting would have run us tens of thousands of dollars more. So they've been an amazing partner. But this is an increase that we just can't control. We are taking the lowest bidder every time, and the lowest bidder is just going up exponentially on a yearly basis.
Chief, on that item, is that something we've always done? Is it a requirement, a recommendation to do all the lines in town every year? Has it ever been done every other year, or some type of program to maybe rotate it?
No, that's a great question, Steve. So not to the best of my knowledge that has this ever been skipped a year. And I would strongly caution that these are the lines that keep our motorists safe, right?
Yep.
So they guide them. They allow us to know when we have double lines that can't be crossed. So it'd be difficult for us to do law enforcement or motor vehicle enforcement if we didn't have visible lines available. And I do think that it would have a direct impact on potential collisions that we might see in town if we were negligent in keeping these lines up the way we do.
And presumably all towns do it this way.
It is my understanding. I know I live in Hopkinton. They get done every year prior to the Boston Marathon being done. I believe Holliston does them every year. Okay. So I think this would be on par with everybody else. And I think it is a genuine safety issue for the town.
Okay, good.
The last budget, and I'd like to go into perhaps just a little bit more because this is where we do have our recommendation for a cut. So our animal control budget is currently, our level service request, I believe, was coming in at, if memory serves me, around 122,374. I have proposed a $24,037 cut. I know that we had a resident at our meeting last week who has questioned some of these numbers. So I really wanted the warrant committee and anyone who is listening to understand that being asked to make a cut in operations is difficult for any manager. These are services. They are services that the community enjoys. These are people and salaries. But I have to look at where we cut, and those cuts cannot come from emergency services. They have to come from non-emergent, non-essential services before we start cutting anyplace else. This particular cut is for the on-call position, and I think it's important for you to understand what that on-call position is. I think there's a very, very large misconception about what that position is. So our on-call position is somebody that is just that. They are on call. They are not routinely patrolling. They are not up at the state hospital. They are not doing enforcement. They are not doing bylaw violation ticketing. This is an individual that we pay $2.45 per hour. We pay our full-time officer a small amount of on-call hours, and then we pay a secondary individual the remaining hours. We cover 24/7 at $2.45 an hour. And then we have our call outs. So I'm going to give you an idea of what those costs are. And these are hard numbers. And the reason I'm giving you hard numbers, and normally I wouldn't on a specific personnel, but it was questioned and I want the board to have accurate information. Last year, I did a 3-year review when I came up with my estimate for this reduction. Last year, our full-time ACO made $3,848 in on-call calls. That is both the stipend and the responding out. Our part-time ACO made $24,732 for a total of $28,580 is what it cost the town to have this on-call service. The year before,
Sorry, can I just stop you? Did you say the full-time person made 3,800? Was that?
In on call.
Oh,
That's
in on.
addition to-
Okay. Okay.
in addition to her base salary.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The year before, our full-time person made on-call $6,365. Our part-time on-call person made $25,921 for a total of $32,286 that was spent for this service. The year before, on-call was $4,603. The full-time, our on-call was $22,267 for a total of $26,870. Now, I know that the person at the select board meeting had suggested that these funds were somehow related to this individual also being an on-call firefighter. That is absolutely an inaccurate statement. I do not pay for the on-call fire. That comes out of the fire department budget, and I have no knowledge of what that individual makes through the fire department. These are simply my ACO numbers. I did ask the fire chief if he could provide me the on-call fire number for that person for fiscal year 25. And he also made an additional $5,923 in fire on-call. The service itself, I think you need to understand what the service is.
Excuse me, can I just stop you for a second? Because I'm
Yeah.
still not following some of this.
Sure.
You said the part-time person made $28,000. If I was that or was it
I got 24.
24? Okay. So if I take 24 and divide it by $2.45, that's that's like over
9,600 hours.
that's a lot of hours.
I love you, Steve, because you are a sharp guy. So our on-call.
Say that about Steve.
So let me break this down for you a little bit. Our on-call person makes $2.45 an hour for 90 hours a week. That 90 hours over the span of 52 weeks equals over $11,800. That is just the stipend to have the phone. Our full-time officer does a 30 hours at $2.45. That's $75 a week. Off the top of my head, I believe it was 30. I can tell you actually it's right in front of me. It was 3,200 last year. This service is not what people think it is. And I think I need to be clear, because when we talk about cutting a service, I don't want to cut any of them. I think that people move to Medfield, and I'll give Dr. Marsden this, mostly for the schools. But when they get here, I think they have an high expectation of service from all of their departments. And they get that from fire, DPW, Parks and Rec, and I'd like to think from police. Our on-call people are not responding to the emergencies that you may think. The types of calls they go on, I don't know that our on-call person is aware that I get a monthly report of activity. But over the last 8 months, we have handled such treacherous and dangerous calls, such as we had a large dog in the backyard and the animal returned home prior to our arrival. We were called for a turtle in somebody's yard. The turtle was gone. We were called for a domestic rabbit in somebody's garage. We were called for a squirrel that appeared sick at the state hospital that was gone upon our arrival. I could give you dozens and dozens and dozens of these calls. We rarely have a call that goes out after 9 o'clock, yet we pay for this service throughout the night. Our officers are handling many of these calls themselves. Sergeant Hain checked for a turtle himself. We have a lot of turtles in town, just if anybody has ever wondered. Our use of force policy for our officers does provide for us to dispatch a seriously injured or threatening animal. This is just a service that has been, it's probably grown some legs over the years that weren't intended. I will say that when we call our ACO out, we go from paying the $2.45 an hour to $29.12 an hour, but I have to pay it at a 2-hour minimum. So that turtle getting moved off the lawn actually cost the town $58.24 for each of those call outs. And that's how we're getting to these numbers of $27,000, $28,000, $32,000. So when I look at the cost effectiveness versus the service, the two are just really grossly out of whack right now. And I would say whether the town chooses to restore this particular line item, that it deserves significant revamping. I think we need to cut our on-call hours to the times that we can show we need it. So probably from 5:30 till 9 p.m., possibly 10 p.m. And then on the weekends from, 9 to 5 or 10 to 6. I think that would cut our costs from $15,000 in stipend down to $5,200 or $5,300 in stipend. And then I think from an operational standpoint, we can reduce or limit the types of call outs to those that are dangerous in nature or involve a seriously injured animal. And I think that is a palatable compromise that perhaps could save the position at a greatly reduced cost to the town.
Well, thank you for that outstanding explanation. I understand it fully now.
Likewise.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if that was sarcasm. So
No.
No, it's real.
No, it's real.
I actually understand it more than I wanted to.
Yes, thank you. Okay, is that all your budget? Yeah, that's everything. Okay, so. All right. Anything else you want? Any other questions for the chief? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate all you do for the town.
No, thank you. Like I said, I genuinely appreciate being able to join remotely tonight. And if anyone has any follow-up questions that they think of later, please do not hesitate to reach out to me directly.
Okay, great. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Will that be a reduction regardless of override or?
We're gonna get to that. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's something that, they'll cover, but, with a lot of these things, something like what we're going through, there's gonna be things that get looked at and maybe questioned, and maybe they don't get restored fully to the way they were
Right.
used to be, maybe things change. This might be one of them,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Christine, you wanna cover, you have a handout for oh, you do, okay. So we have the priorities for the town reduction. And then after this, we'll talk about the school, which I also sent around. So I'll let you, are you short one? We could share one.
Do you want to share? Okay.
Oh,
I can hear guys. Oh, we got it. Okay.
So I think you're good.
go ahead, Christine.
So in your packet was a list that we provided to the select board several weeks ago that outlined our $334,000 worth of cuts, which I had also reviewed with the warrant committee. We then prioritized those into what we thought were critical operations, important benefits, and discretionary items. We met with the select board last Tuesday, and just for recognition, the chair is sitting behind me. So in case I speak out of turn.
Correct. I'll make any correct.
Nothing like having your boss sitting right behind you. So I asked each of the select board members to come up with their prioritization of what they would restore. Now, what you'll see in the green, when I originally gave this list to the select board, we were still at the 1.3% guidance. So we were able to restore, based on their ranking, the wages in the detail for town meeting, the cut to the highway materials, the reduction in the culvert dam maintenance and repair. And the select board had suggested that we restore the HR position at halftime versus full-time. So we've been able to restore those 4 line items as part of our 1.8% guidance. What you see in pink represents the ranking from all 3. And just to clarify, they have not voted on this, but assuming our math is correct, this is the correct ranking for them. This is how we would restore them in order from top to bottom based on the ranking of prioritization.
So just so I'm clear, the top one here, the one we just talked about, the animal control officer would be the number one.
That would be the number 1 on the next prioritization. The first
To
4,
cut.
yeah,
Or
to restore.
Number 1 to restore.
These are to restore.
The turtle removal is.
That conversation with the chief may change their mind on Tuesday. But as of last week, this was the prioritization list of restoration.
Okay.
Yeah. The board did accept all of the cuts that we had presented, and then put them in list of prioritization for restoration.
So this is an order of restoration.
Right.
That's what it says. I should have read it. Sorry. Okay, so.
Driveways, really.
So we have land use department, DPW, a lot of DPW ones, assessors. And then the police department, overtime, council on aging. Okay.
Christine, do you?
So the bottom 5 are, I'm sorry. The bottom 5 are there's 2 oh, that's the other half of the HR.
So that's the other half of the HR,
Okay.
and then we would leave the 21,000. We would not restore the 21,200 that Pam had taken from her budget.
Okay.
Based on her creativity, so we would leave that on.
Okay.
Because she can say open. So.
Yeah, because she can stay open the 7 days a week.
Emily, do you have a question?
How much did you factor into this prioritization?
This is just select board?
This is just the select board. I presented them with this list.
Remember our last meeting, she gave us this list of the categories.
Okay.
They had
So
a meeting,
yeah.
and they went through their own ranking.
But Christine, the actual cuts were the list of cuts was for Christine.
Correct.
She only asked for the prioritization.
Right.
Correct.
And so this reflects, they each rank them, and this reflects the aggregation of the rankings.
Does the select board rank the schools too? I guess I'm
No,
like kind
no,
of
no.
confused why the select board is ranking the Towns.
It is technically the select board's budget.
They vote on it.
It is, I make a recommendation to the budget, but it is the select board budget.
Okay, sorry, not to like be weird.
No, no, no.
Christine asked 3 select board members for their prioritization. We got 3 different answers.
Very different.
Then using eye of newt or tail of newt, eye of frog, she has this list, which one of those answers, she did a pretty good job of.
Okay, yeah, this is helpful. Any other questions on this? I mean, we did ask for this and they did it. so-
Yeah, it's this off.
So is this now the list? Cause like reduction in overtime got pushed way down for the police department.
So it's
Staff
been,
committee events, like,
that's the order of restoration. So
I
where you're
guess I'm
seeing.
comparing.
Start at the
like,
top
like
and
you,
work down,
you
right?
wanted that to come back number 2 and now it's like.
So these
I'm
were-
just making sure I understand this.
So this was just what we considered, the select board asked us, I had a full list that I presented to the warrant committee and the select board. They were not in any particular order. Then they asked us to come back and identify what we thought were critical operations, what we thought were important benefits, and then what we thought were discretionary items.
Right.
So we made that ranking for them. They then took that and came up with their own ranking of how they would restore those items. I think it's fair to say that not everybody thought what we thought was critical, the select board thought was critical. And same with discretionary and important benefits. So I think that's probably where you're seeing the differentiation.
Yeah, it's just hard to, I don't know what to do with this, I mean. You guys, maybe we don't have a say anyway.
Well, no, we asked for this because I think later on, when we go through and try to decide what's an appropriate amount for an override,
Okay.
we may end up halfway down the list. You know what I'm saying? And so it's nice to know what where the cutoff would
I
be.
guess that's my question. Are
I don't
we
think- I don't-
bound to the list in this
This
order?
I-
Or are we bound?
Look, I
to-
think the select board, developed the list. They're elected officials. I think we should place great weight in it. I don't think technically we are for the school, we just vote on the number.
Right.
Okay. We, for all the town departments, we put forward a budget for every single department. So theoretically, we have to agree with, that if we don't, we have to, discuss that.
Sorry, how does that shift though? Because I mean, going to the point about the chief's presentation, because now we've had all these additional presentations that the select board hadn't had before doing this. Looking at, I think we're all drawn to the number 1 there of animal control, having heard the chief say, well, maybe that's not what we need to restore. What's gonna be, are we gonna ask this, but are we gonna get another one of these at some point after more processes happen? Because right now, if we were to follow it as a list, top 1 is one that.
I think this is not approved yet by the select board. I think they have the benefit of tonight's meeting to maybe change their mind and re-vote it. I don't know. They haven't voted it yet.
They have not voted. This
Right,
is just,
what the
this is just a
process is.
summary.
Okay, Gus is here.
I actually have a question for the warrant committee. I kind of looked at this prioritized list the way you could kind of look and say, well, based on whatever level we might target in override, where would this gives some indication of where the line would be drawn, and then you could feel how bad you might feel about the things that don't make the cut. But there's a couple of things that are going on here. One of them is now we are getting more. If we actually, I don't think the warrant committee is going to sit there and go, oh no, I guess the override has to be this because items 13 is the cutoff and 14 is really important. So let's change the override. I'm guessing that you're going to make an if you make an override level recommendation, it's going to be driven by a policy, however you choose to structure that policy around what you think the appropriate level of spending for the town and or schools should be. And you're going to have some specific, you're not going to get into the nitty gritty about, if that's what you're going to do, and we're not going to give you that much money, it's not going to work that way. So that's point 1. Point 2 is, and Ashley, I think I heard you mentioned something about the dog waste issue, and I want to comment on something. One of them is the thing that we just looked at for the animal control officer. New information comes out that when we actually would have to look at cuts, depending if there's an override and there is additional funding, depending on what that is, the information that we have around, from in this case from the chief, what that maybe could be, might say that's not really going to suck $24,000 of an override amount. And when we talk about the dog waste, only because this one's going to be a hot button for a lot of people. We were talking about it in the select board meeting. It's not that we wouldn't necessarily decide it's still important to have that dog waste removal service. It's that we were talking about looking at some sort of a dog walker registration program to raise the money for that service, not on the tax levy. So there'll be some creative things that might be done to not just make something go away just because the taxpayer's not paying for it.
Okay, thank you, Doug. So this is the town side. Any more questions on this? We can talk about the school
I have
too.
one question.
Yeah.
This adds up to 338,607. This 334,437. Just wondering what the delta.
I believe it's the library. I think there was additional in the library than was originally put on. I'll double check, but I believe it's the library. Yeah, I think the library.
Thank you for doing that math.
Yeah. That's what we do here, right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so if there are any more questions on the town, maybe we can talk about the school, because I did share that with you. So the school went through the same exercise because we asked them to. Okay. And that is this this sheet that got sent out. It amounts to, wait a minute, sorry, $1.4 million.
Yes, 7.
Yeah, it's that letter from now. Michelle sent this to me. She said that the list prioritized the cuts. And that she wanted to note that the memorial teachers can be removed from the list. Those positions are now back in the revolving fund following a vote they took at the select board. So the memorial teachers can be removed. And this list is itemized in order from the least impactful to the most critical. So it's kind of the opposite of what the town did, all right? And that's so like the 1.0 Dale Street teacher position at the bottom represents the most important position on the list to keep. Yeah. And that they are also, if you watch that meeting, they did decide to look at bus fees. So they're undertaking that. So, but this was what they came up with. You know, I think it's sort of self-explanatory. I think you know, it's so if you go from the bottom, the most critical, there's a Wheelock teacher, a Dale Street teacher, Wheelock teacher, another Dale Street teacher, someone at the high school, and then it goes up to the least critical of a custodian or a summer R&D. I don't know what's the summer R&D?
Usually curriculum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got 1, 2, 3 cuts that are not FTEs, I guess. All the rest are FTEs. Either half or the one question I didn't quite understand that I think we need to get an explanation on is the 3.8 Blake teachers, 149,000.
Yeah.
The explanation they provided in the meeting was something about it's a cluster. I mean, it's at Blake, and it's one of the clusters.
Okay.
But when I look at 3.8 FTEs, it should be more than 149,000. So that's what's not making sense to me, Ed. Leo asked the question and I didn't understand the answer, so I still think we need to look at that.
One other question I have, just because I've seen the phrasing before, the commitment to preserving the instructional core. So that was what the superintendent proposed whenever he recommended a budget of 3.9%.
Yeah.
So the cuts here are reflected in the superintendent's recommendation to the 3.9.
No, I believe
This is the one
to get down to 1.8 from a 5% level. So
okay, so this is to get down to 1.8.
Right.
The superintendent recommended 3.9. The school committee.
Yeah, we don't have that line, but it would be nice. It would be nice to know where that.
Right. That was my question, was like where here
Yeah,
is the difference
we
between.
probably
We can, give me 10 minutes.
we probably know the dollar amount.
But I guess the other.
520 something off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Because he had 5.9 positions. So
It's by the bottom floor.
Yeah, it's in his material, actually.
I guess just the other question is that because this phrase jumped off the page the last time, was that the superintendent had recommended the 3.9 in that flip book.
yes,
But then the school committee voted 5. So this gets to 1.8
From the 5.
yeah.
I guess not quite knowing the process here. We're talking about 1.845, but the 3.9 is just not.
Well,
Table anymore?
well, I'll talk
It's
about
the right
that.
shape.
I think
Yeah.
It sounds like they're undecided. but they're evaluating.
there's a
I just keep seeing this phrase, and so
I think. Well, what he did with he did what we asked him to do.
right. This is what we
asked.
Yeah, right. This is what we asked.
So that's what this represents.
Right.
He also what was not accepted by the school committee in their vote was his proposed 3.9 budget, which he represented that covered the core. I forget the word. It was
Preserving
the core.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because it's not like the bottom of this list is the same cut as what a 3.9% would be.
Yeah.
We don't know what that is.
We don't know the prioritization of that. Yeah.
Right.
But we don't know what they're gonna decide to.
We don't know a lot.
recommend.
Yeah.
So-
We don't know a lot in terms of where they're going to end up in terms of a budget. Right now, they are coming to see us on the 24th. So we'll know more then, hopefully. But I think we have had a number of meetings. After our last meeting, there's been some outreach, I know, by some of you with school committee members. Ed and I met with Diane and Michelle separately, and then we also had a meeting with a broader working group, which included Gus and Christine and Jeff and Mike. So I think they were all very productive meetings. I think it's clearly they're very productive, and I think they learned. We spent some time educating them on some of the things that we've gone through and brought them up to speed on a lot of that. So I think they learned some things. So I think our process is going to be. Let me talk a little bit about our process, because this is getting at your question. I think we're going to continue to look at department budgets, right? We have the schools coming in. If you have questions that you want answered about the school budget, please send them to Ed before the 24th, okay? So that they can come in with answers to those questions, okay? we don't delay it, like, we don't ask them to get back to us. It's something we can tell
They're
them.
gonna be coming in with a level service budget. They come in at 5% budget.
Mhm.
That's what they'll be presenting.
Yeah, because I don't think as a school committee, they meet before the 24th. I don't, or, well, no, they might be having another meeting, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll be changing the budget.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
that time.
So, so we haven't seen that footbook, the 5% budget, right?
Correct.
Correct.
That was the 3.9 budget.
Right. So we haven't
But-
seen the
But
5%.
you really have in many respects because the cuts to get from 5 to 3.9
Mhm.
were teachers. So it's just the payroll line and there was $30,000 in expenses. So there really isn't a big difference in terms of the presentation. I think what will happen is when we finally get to a number that we think is the right override number, that'll dictate then how far down the list they can go here. So, I think that will be the process. First we'll get the 5% look and understand those variances. They'll get the number. They'll get the number of what the recommended override will be. And then from there, we'll know. We'll know what to cut.
Yeah, let's talk about the process, because I think that's important. So I think, one of the things we're going to talk about next is this operating budget stabilization. Right, so I put something in your packet about that. But what we're going to do is we're going to continue with our department reviews and get all our questions answered. Simultaneously, there'll be a process to model different scenarios. The scenarios will be various levels of budget growth and related taxpayer impact, right? It's actually, Joe's been helpful with some of that already. Ed and myself, we've been started that process, but we need to refine. It needs to be refined. And that it will also factor in the impact of this operating budget stabilization fund if it passes, right? And what that does to the modeling. And we'll share all that with everybody here. Get feedback. We'll go through it. We'll have a warrant hearing. But at some point, as a committee, we will need to choose one of those scenarios and put forward that at town meeting.
Good question. And we will put forward a number, not a percentage, right?
Correct.
Because we will say, we want to add.
We want to add.
Picking a number like 1.8 million or 1.6 million, whatever the number, but we won't be doing a percentage, we'll be saying, we want to add X dollars.
To the levy.
To the levy.
Right, correct. But when we go through our analysis and our modeling, we will consider department growth percentages, but it will result in a number that will go into the warrant. Okay. So we'll have to vote on it, the warrant hearing. And, I think it'll be a prudential decision. It'll be based on judgment. I think weighing the tax impact to residents, the extent of service cuts, and the impact on core services, the alignment with what we think community priorities are, and fiscal sustainability. How does this deal with 28?
Right.
That's, I think, how we're going to have to proceed forward as a committee. And I'm not. We'll see what the school comes in with, but
Yeah.
I feel like they're sort of waiting for us to do our part, and they're elected officials, so they probably prefer to be told what the number is by us. So that's how I see it moving forward. But I do want to. I know it's getting late. I want to spend some time on this operating budget stabilization fund, because it's important, and you're going to hear more about it. There's a 2-page handout that I put in the packet, and So it goes through, the rationale for why this would be, why we should consider this. And it gets at the heart of it is solving this fiscal 20. We have, as a town, we have a structural deficit in our budgets. It's not a 1 year problem. That should be very clear to everybody. It's not a school problem. It's a townwide problem, and it's structural. Okay, so we could say we're just going to fix this year, but we'll be right back here next year with the same problem. Okay, what this does, other towns have adopted this approach of trying to deal with more than 1 year in an override, and so it's as we know, there's a vote for the Dale Street School that's coming up, and residents, ideally want some predictability or stability. They want to know that what their taxes are going to be. So our challenge, I won't go through it in detail, but we all know our problem, right, with revenues, cost growing greater than revenues. But this is it's a stabilization fund that basically gets created under Mass General Law 45, subchapter 5B. It's funded through a town meeting appropriation, and it can only be taken out of the stabilization fund with a 2/3 vote. But the idea is that it would support the amount we put into it, would support what we think our problem is for fiscal 28. And what that means is, it's basically, you're trying to keep the overall override to a manageable level, which means that if you're going to take care of 2 years, it means you have to make more cuts in the operating budget, all right, in order to get to a reasonable number, right? If you just say, I'm not going to make any cuts and I'm just going to continue with level service and solve 2 years of problem, it becomes it's a big tax increase, right? So we have to do both. We have to cut and ask for an override. All right. It's a combination of a recalibration of what level service is, which reflects cuts to 27. And then an expectation that new level, is going to grow at a certain percentage, and we want to take care of that so that we don't have to ask for override 2 years in a row. That's the concept. And there's these are the towns there are more towns than this that have done it. Nick Villano, who used to be our assistant town administrator, recently did it last year in Milton. Braintree's done it, Hingham's done it. I think Hingham might have been the first one to do it. There are more towns than this, but so it's a way to sort of plan and avoid, overreacting and making really drastic cuts in that second year. So that's kind of, so we will share with you when we get it all refined, a model that will lay all this out, and you'll see the numbers. You'll be able to see what the amount of the override would be under different options, how much is going to be covering the 28 budget, how much is 27, what the amount of cuts are that need to be made. So I think it's an approach that it's smart. It's not asking for level service. It's a balanced approach that says in order to do this, we have to make more cuts in 27 to get to that. So does that make sense? Makes sense. It does.
This was a good feed I didn't know that this mechanism was available. Good for you.
Well, thank Christine. She's the one who told me about it.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once I studied it more, it just made more sense, I think, too. Now, it does require that the select board put it on the warrant. They have to open up the warrant and add it to the warrant. Because it's not an article for this right now. So, but what do people think about this idea?
I definitely like planning ahead. The Last years, it's a lot to understand. So,
Yeah, it needs explanation. It's not an easily intuitive concept to understand.
It's also not 100% the safety net we think it would be for fiscal year 28, right?
Right.
So that's another thing. It's depends on what healthcare does in 28 and all that stuff.
Right.
But it helps close the gap.
Based upon-
Having
Yes.
an allocation
Yes.
percentage.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah. I mean, the concern the school committee has is that, and they've said this publicly, that we ask for an override this year, we have to have another one next year, and then we have a school vote right after
Yeah.
that.
Which is not
That's not ideal.
Great,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So. So,
still.
I mean, anything to avoid back-to-back overrides is a good idea. I guess I don't. Planning ahead and putting money into this account. Like, I guess I gotta think about it more, but it just seems like. I don't think I'm ready to talk about it.
Would you have to ask for a bigger number up front to cover
Yeah.
2 years then?
yes,
Yes.
it costs more to do that.
That's
But-
the bottom.
The trade-off is you have to make more cuts in that first year. So
It
it's,
just seems like it's a little bit of a hard sell, even though I know it's smarter. Like and there's a lot that we have to educate people on. And I'm not saying I'm against it. That's just my initial thought is like,
Yeah.
this sounds complicated. This sounds like more to ask the town to understand when we're already in a dicey spot. That is my initial reaction, which I don't mean to be negative.
How much higher? I mean,
Well,
typically 10%, 15%.
we're working on that. I don't want to say no, we're trying to get it, let's put it this way, we're trying to come up with different models
Mm.
and let people decide what they think is reasonable, on this committee.
And the
Yeah.
goal is to have a one-time ask versus a 3-time.
Yeah, well,
A 3-time.
well, we gotta have the school vote anyway.
Right,
That's gonna
right,
happen,
right.
yeah.
So 2,
Two,
right,
Yeah.
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 But, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's 1 time versus 2 time on the operating budget.
But where you've said, and I don't disagree with this at all, that you're gonna have to have more cuts.
Right,
As the price for this. You run the risk, if the school committee says. We're not gonna vote to limit ourselves to. A 2.3% increase. In order to hold down next year. I'm not expressing this very well, but I'm.
I know
just
what you're
worried that-
saying. Yeah.
I'm just worried that they'll say, if we're doing an override, let's do a damned override so we can save these teachers this year.
Mhm.
And what? I'm not.
I mean, I hear you, I will say this, in the working group that we had, I'm not gonna speak for the school committee, but the working group. We did kind of, explore this idea with them. And,
And you're still here in one piece.
yes,
So that's a good
yes,
sign.
yes, so I think there's a way forward, I think, that might work, let's put it that way. Just with that working group, the working group seemed to understand it, they thought, I think there was communication challenge, which I'm hearing again. But that as they understood it more and more, they thought it was a smart thing to do, but that there's this communication challenge that we have.
Well,
To
this
explain
seems,
it, to
this
explain
seems way more complicated than the basic, we need an override, which was not well, like, received or communicated, or, you know what I mean? So
Right,
I'm very concerned about this personally,
even
just
with-
from
Depends
a
on where that
messaging thing.
I think when you see the modeling,
Yeah.
you'll
That's
get
my
more
thought.
See the
comfortable.
numbers.
Yeah, when you see the numbers, you might get more comfortable.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
I think it's a smart, obviously very smart move to do this. I think it's a good balanced approach to say, hey, we're still looking at cuts. But let's try and get through 2 years.
There'll be cuts in both years.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Even with an override, they'll still be in 28.
And I think it goes,
Need to cut.
Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
it just goes back to the question, I can't imagine nobody's going to raise it. Well, what are we doing about our revenue problem? And if we don't, if we're at town meeting or at the warrant hearing and that's not something that's come up, I don't know how to answer that.
I mean, the sort of short answer I have is that there is no, magic revenue amount that's gonna save us in the next 2 years. I think when the hospital happens, that's different. That will help us. But that's not gonna be in the next.
That's still only kind of
That's not gonna help us in the next couple of years.
right,
Yeah.
but that's not a long
It
term.
helps us a little bit in 28. Well, it's a pretty good net. It was a pretty good net positive to the. Yeah, I think it was.
It's not going to restore cuts.
It's not going to restore the amount of cuts that we're
You
making.
know,
No.
Yeah,
But we're talking about recalibrating.
I agree. I think that that
This is a recalibration. This isn't like a one-time cut. This is like
right. We're
this
looking
is
at
now
level service
a new level service
and what it means.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And 5 years from now, trend wise, things are on the track for being really dire. So what else can we do on the revenue side?
That's
Commercial
Joe's
base.
problem,
No, I know, but I think it's going to be something that residents
People are
can ask
definitely
about.
gonna talk about it, but there's not gonna be a quick answer.
Well, no, but there needs to be some kind of long-term vision on what that looks like or what potential possibilities are out there, rather than us just going, well, this is 2 years, we're gonna compromise on this and we'll talk about it in 2 years, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like we should have some kind of conversation around it. I don't know if it's.
So I think there's a couple of things. I mean, we're the closest we've ever been to getting the landfill closed and ready for solar, so that's a revenue opportunity. The planning board is introducing the mixed use overlay district for this next year, so we are doing things.
Yeah.
But we're not going to attract any big industry to Medfield. That revenue is not going to be impacted by that. And partly because you all moved here for a certain quality of life and a certain feel to the town, and want to maintain that. So I think it's not just the revenue, it's our fixed costs. And we have less control over those. So I think going back to the PEC next year, the Public Employment Committee, talking to them about health insurance, seeing if we can come up with better plan design to lower those costs for both the town and the employees. They're carrying an incredibly expensive health insurance plan as well. So it's not just the revenue, but how are we going to address these fixed costs?
Yeah, and we've talked a bit about fixed costs throughout this season. So that's why I just don't think that the revenue.
I mean, the fixed, we're not unique as a town in these challenges, right? I mean, there's only so many towns like Foxborough or Westwood who have all sorts of, extra revenue from certain things. So there are a lot of towns like us that have a revenue problem.
Oh, absolutely.
And this isn't new for us. We started pointing this out. We started doing forecasting in fiscal year 2019. We knew this was going to happen. We had a structural deficit in the budget. And then we got bailed out by COVID. For all the bad things that we went through during COVID, we received a lot of grant money. And that hid the structural deficit over a few years. That money is all expiring this year, and that structural deficit is all back up.
Right.
And that is sooner than we originally anticipated. 2029 was the original anticipation of our over. But 2 years of double-digit increases for the health insurance, really.
Yeah, crushing.
And we thought in 2029, the pension is going to be fully funded and we'd have another $3 million.
Right, that's a whole other.
To help with our, that.
I just mean those points on the revenue side, I think are just as important to raise.
How much money can we get out of the landfill?
Well,
like 800,000, 10 million, like any. No.
I don't think it's 10 million.
Yeah, okay.
No, but we don't have any anticipation until we.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to have more discussion about that. I don't think we're going to solve any problem.
Oh, I don't think so either. I just want it brought up as a topic because I think that's
smart.
I'll ask a good question just for information as we consider all this. Can you remind us of what contracts, collective bargaining agreements need to be renewed next year?
So next year is the third year of police and fire. So we'll enter negotiations for fiscal year 29. So we do have the third year of police and fire, which are the highest cost of those collective bargaining agreements for police and fire. And then on the school side, I believe they're in negotiations currently with the teachers.
So just on that, I'm worried about the message it sends if we preemptively ask for an override now for 28. Basically, with regard to our negotiating position on those contract renewals. I mean, are you concerned about that? Should we be concerned about that?
Not concerned about it, based on the cut. I've had conversations with the fire union. And I think I'm comfortable in saying the fire union is more concerned about the SAFER grant, holding on to those 4 firefighters and are willing to open their contract negotiations based on that. So I don't think we'll see a huge ask from that, if we're able to keep those 4 positions. But I don't think that the override increases the budget enough that anybody's going to think there's a lot of money available for that.
Yeah, you need to see the numbers.
Yeah.
It's happened.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say, and the last 2 contracts, I think the COLA increase for police this year is 1.25.
They're very good contracts.
Yeah, they're great contracts. And and we're monitoring to stay marketable, but I think we have incredibly smart police and fire union who understand now the whole fiscal health of the town and how it impacts their collective bargaining in future years. But I'm not as nervous about that. But now you're gonna make me up to 3 o'clock in the morning thinking about it. So I'll get back to that on that tomorrow.
The school's mind is this starts in 27.
Yeah, so that's
27, 28. That's really what takes all this up.
Yeah.
So they have to make an assumption within their numbers as to what that will wind up being, and hopefully they'll be right.
Yeah.
They better be right.
Right. So, so I'm hearing that most people here like the idea.
Well, I like the approach.
There's-
I'm
there's
worried
a-
about the sale.
The
but yeah, I
sale,
like
the
approach.
communication that was, I think.
I think it's really smart. I don't mean
Yeah.
it more affirmatively. I
Yeah.
think it's a really great idea.
Yeah.
Good for Christine for knowing it. That's awesome.
Okay,
But I'm just,
so I think at least having the option of having this on the ballot and moving forward with an article about this,
yeah.
not the ballot, on the warrant, and moving forward with it, with an option to have people vote on, I think is.
But like, we're gonna, like, there will be, it's almost 10 o'clock, we can talk about it another night, but I'm just a little confused how we're gonna have an article for an override, and then we're gonna have an article for an override stabilization fund, when they seem like they're.
Oh, the way it's gonna work
You know?
is, we'll have maybe 1 or 2 articles to establish the fund, the stabilization fund,
Mhm.
and then to fund it. Whether it's 1 or 2 articles that could be maybe combined.
It's a contingency vote on the override.
And then we have the standard override article, which is already in the warrant.
And just to be clear, so you're gonna have 2 articles. One will be the Proposition 2.5 budget. You'll see the budget like you normally see it in the warrant report. And then you're gonna have the next article right after that, which is gonna look very similar to the budget, only there'll be increases and the bottom line will be larger. And that vote will be contingent upon a special town election and a ballot.
Yep.
So it's, the override article is gonna look like the budget. I just want to make that, a lot of people are expecting it to just say, be worded like the ballot, and it won't be, it'll just look like a budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree, there's a lot of moving pieces, and we're not sleeping much, so
Yeah.
we're ready.
I'm sorry.
All right, so like, hopefully the select board will agree to put that on the warrant.
And it can always be dismissed if you
Yeah.
get, if
Yeah.
it goes to town meeting and everybody decides that's not the way we want to go, then it can be dismissed.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the other item we had on the agenda, getting late, was this frequently asked question document.
This is great.
So, you can see in here, there's actually a question on the operating budget stabilization fund. So if you have any, let's put it this way, I'm gonna volunteer you, Brittany. If there's any comments, edits, suggestions, send them to Brittany.
Yep.
Okay?
He doesn't.
It's very much a draft. It's
I'm not the one keeping her up.
That's probably true, yeah.
No, you might look.
That's very much a draft and can be, but the point is we want to start getting these questions out there.
Where would this
So that-
live?
What's
So
that?
I created today a Proposition 2.5 override, spot on landing spot on the website, and I'd like to put those FAQs on there. I'd like to put an email on there, so if people, residents have questions or want to ask questions, we funnel those questions and kind of just do a live FAQ. We did it similar when we did the MBTA communities, and I think it was really helpful for people to the questions answered there. And if somebody's asking the question, chances are somebody else has it.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
So we'd like to get it up as soon as possible.
Yeah, if you have a question that you think should be on, then that's a Brittany. Okay. But the point is, we want to, one of the questions we have on here was asked at the joint meeting with the select board and the school committee about why do we have pensions? We put it on here. If somebody asked it to the public.
I thought this was fabulous. I don't know.
I know, I'm like, can we just post it and we'll amend from there?
We could post this as tentative, right? Draft.
I read it. I think it's.
Yeah.
That was very good.
Sooner the
I
better.
mean, I wanted town finance to bless it, so they got it.
We're good.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. All right. And it's not a final document. It can be edited and changed. So, okay. In the interest of time, can we postpone the updates on the school building committee? We did the transfer. Oh, one last thing. Okay, we have these 2 meetings in March to get through the non-financial articles, non-routine articles, where we're going to bring in people to talk to us about them. We're having the citizens petition. One of the citizens petitions on the sign has been folded. He's agreed to sort of dismiss it or draw. He's might even get signature.
I think he's going to withdraw. Yeah.
He's going to withdraw it, and that one's going away. The one remaining citizens petition on the Intergenerational Community Center by Pete Saladino. He's coming in on March 10th. Park and Rec will be coming in on the 24th to talk about their building. And some of the other articles, I would like you guys to get back to me and let me know which of those 2 dates you would like to have. If you think it needs to bring, if you think somebody needs to come before us, like maybe the zoning, the one on zoning, they might want to come one of those nights.
The energy one.
The energy one, yeah, the stretch code.
Planning board would like to come.
The planning board, though, also has the
The
mixed use development one, so we have to schedule those 2. So as you reach out to these various people, conservation, I know Deb, we have to have her in, I guess, so. What's that? The 24th, okay. Just send me an email if you know of a date that you would prefer, and then we'll work with you for all the other ones. I think a lot of them you can just.
A lot of them I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
All right, okay. I don't have anything else.
I just have one thing.
Oh.
Cameron handed out a stack of material tonight, and I just wanted everybody to be updated on the Office of Accounting and Finance Reform, to know what you can and can't do in terms of Proposition 2.5 article, what you can say, what you can't say. It's very specific. And then also there's just a DOR who put out a really good primer about the whole Proposition 2.5 question, how they're asked, how the ballot, the process works. So that should be really helpful.
Did you get one, Emily?
Yes, I did. You did. Yeah. I just
And then we posted them all on this Proposition 2.5 website we did today. So they're also there if anybody wants to.
Yeah. Are there groups in town that are organizing to
I don't know.
support, or don't they have to register or
Yeah, I believe they would have to register with Mary, but I haven't heard of any.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Anybody else? All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.